Well, g'day. Flat Earth Aussie Jesus here, being an idiot once again. Thanks for joining me. When you do join me, I know it'll be a while because this is a completely unscheduled live appearance that is completely unscheduled. I've come to talk about several things. Number one being the fact that there are several YouTube channels about. I shan't mention them by name, but we know that one of them would be to do with Plague, another one would be to do with Stephen, and another one would be to do with Red's Eat a Dick. They've all got super biased moderators on their channel. Now, I know I can be a bit of a obnoxious bastard at times. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You know, they've got an opinion, I've got an alternative opinion. We discuss the opinion. But what they do is they just keep fucking timing me out again and again and again. It's like, yeah, and all you're going to end up doing is being sitting around in your own circle jerk with like-minded people, all feeling good about yourself. You may as well be singing "Come Fucking By" or some shit. I like to be controversial. That's the word for it, controversial. Now, people might say I'm just doing it for attention, and you know, you might have a bit of a point there because when you're sitting at home, the sun's out again now. It's been raining all day. I haven't been able to work all freaking week. It is now Thursday, so of course there will be a struggle to pay the rent tomorrow. So, you know, let me just put it in the comments here, my PayPal account, because I'm sure that nobody wants to donate to it. So if I put it up, then you've got every excuse under the world. I think it's just hotmail.com. Yeah, we don't need the .au to not make a donation. You don't need to, you know. I'm not going to say my car's broken down. I've got all the drugs I need. I make my home brew. I've got another batch bubbling away nicely at the moment. My needs are pretty simple. I pay my rent, I pay my electricity, I pay my internet, and I buy my ingredients to make a bit of home brew. I'm happy and content. So, you know, for all these people that think it costs you big money to sit and make content, good for you. Hope you do well out of it. So the ones that have been annoying me the most, well, most of them will sit by. It'll be their channel, but they'll have moderators. So like Flat Earth, for example. You know, he's having a discussion with Hip Hop Hippie. Cheers, mate. Having a discussion. I'm listening in. People are writing comments. Oh, I might write a comment. No, suddenly I'm timed out by the moderators. What is the fucking point of having a live discussion if you're just going to time people out just because you disagree with them? I wasn't being unkind to anybody in particular. You know, I might have been a little bit stand-uppish from my point of view, which is what it's all about, isn't it? If you have a point of view, you stand up for it and you speak it. It doesn't mean that you're denigrating anybody. You're not being homophobic. This is one of the things I get accused of quite a bit because I use the word faggot when I describe some of these people. Well, that was my bad. I've decided there is a far better word for it, and I'll be using the correct term from now on. It will be bigot. So if one of these mods is being a bigot, then I'll call them a bigot. I'll no longer call them a faggot. So I apologise to all faggots that I mistakenly called these bigots faggots, because, you know, faggots are cool. Damn, I thought I had a viewer for a second. Must have just been hallucinating. Rightio. So now that I've cleared that up, I'll now call them call bigots bigots, and I will totally leave the faggots to being faggoted as they wish. There's nothing wrong with being a faggot, except you're going to get burnt in the fire, because that's what you do with bundles of sticks or a piece of firewood. Is we're destined for the fire, which is all a faggot is. So how anybody can be offended at being called a bunch of sticks beats the shit out of me. Hey, well, that's why I'm here today, to talk openly and discuss anything that anybody would like to discuss. And as you can see from the link I left in the description, which if you click down to it, I can wait, it only takes 11 minutes to watch. Might have a viewer by then, you never know. It's a Facebook posting of a video, which fortunately Facebook actually has less censorship than YouTube these days. Kind of weird like that. I mean, you can still get your 30-day bans from Facebook, but as long as you don't say Jew or anything like that out loud, like, well, I was just talking about juice in general, oranges and stuff. As long as you don't say that on Facebook, you tend not to get your 30-day bans. But you can produce videos. Like I've produced videos on YouTube, for example, that I get a copyright strike, and it comes back saying that this video is banned in 7 countries, one of which is the United States. Hang on, that's like 50 countries in a way. Anyway, it's the United States, that's how it is. And so, but if I put it on YouTube, put it on Facebook, I don't get banned. It allows it. It doesn't get a copyright strike. So you can get copyright strikes on YouTube that you don't get on Facebook. So sometimes you just got to work out where to go in between the two different censorship places and see where you can freely speak. And this is one of the things I was actually speaking about on Steve McRae's channel just earlier, where I kept getting timed out once again by his biased moderators, fucking Nazi censorists. Get that word out. Censorshipists. I don't know what you call them. Nazi cunts. That's probably as good a word as any. Fucking Nazis. A lot of good men fought and died for the right for us to have free speech. So when you get wankers today sitting there in their fucking little chairs, in their lounge rooms, in their basements, in wherever they fucking well are, and quietening somebody down just because they disagree with them, then you are against everything that truth and freedom stands for. Truth and freedom is all about the right to speak, to be heard, to say as you will. Do no harm, absolutely. But nothing about what I say is doing any harm, except for the fact that people don't like the truth. When they hear the truth, they get all up in their fucking little panties, getting in a little bunch. Let's shut up this flat earther Jesus. We don't like what he says. It's like, it hurts me. It offends me. Oh, I know. If we just censor him, ooh, well, aren't we good? We've done our little bit as a little fucking Nazis. Bigots. And faggots. Yeah, you're faggots too. And you know it. And I'm not afraid to say it. You want to report me for calling you a bigoted faggot? Go right ahead. So anyway, at the end of the day, I'm actually a very nice person. I don't go out of my way to make enemies. I just go out of my way to speak the truth. And that's all I'm doing when I'm speaking the truth. So when some arse-hat with a blue wrench comes along and puts me on a 5-minute timeout every time I'm trying to respond to people's questions, that is a form of censorship. And that is a form of evil. I will say that. I will put that into those words. I will state that out loud. Censorship is evil. Now, if I was preaching evil and telling people to do evil deeds, go and kill somebody, go and poison a well, go and do whatever to cause harm to people, I would be promoting evil. But all I'm doing is promoting ideas ideas which I believe are the truth. If you don't like it, just say, I disagree with you, but hey, I agree with your right to say it, to believe it, to think what you like, to think as you will. Just as I don't automatically say every globehead is a complete and utter fucking moron, just because they were indoctrinated with something from a young age, as we all were. And I don't go then to shut you down because I disagree with you. I just think, well, you were fed wrong information. You believe wrong information. But if you're right to believe as much wrong information as you like, as long as you're not causing any harm. And that's the whole point. What harm is your belief causing? Does it really hurt if we believe we live on a spinning space rock hurtling around the sun? Yes and no. I mean, it hurts because if it's not truth, well then it's a lie, and a lie is like 3/4 of the word evil, especially when you make it live. So who wants to live a lie? Nobody wants to live a lie. We just want to understand the truth of reality. And it's pretty much the biggest fundamental facet of existence, is to understand reality. Otherwise, why even bother? Why would the first thing ever even bother to exist if it just looked around and said, there's no purpose to this, go back to sleep? There would be no life. And yeah, there's an awful lot of lie in life as well, I'll grant you that. But hey, that's the whole trick, isn't it? To understand the deception, to work out where we come from, where we're going. If we don't know where we're coming from, we'll never know where we're going. We'll just be going round and round in circles, which is what the whole globe movement is all about. A bunch of moronic children inventing this concept in their head, saying that we live on a spinning ball going around the sun for no real particular reason. It's all meaningless. There's no meaning to life. It's all just the result of a random big bang. We're all accidents, random freak mutations as a result of the great god Kronos. Lots and lots of time. Keep throwing lots of time in there. That fixes all the problems of evolution. Oh, just give it enough time and it will decide to go from a random freak mutation into a workable eyeball, or a thinking brain, a talking voice, or a human being. Just throw all the ingredients out there and let time sort it all out. That's pretty much the evolutionists' belief, what we're even here for. So, quite clearly, this is the wrong time. 0 views, 0 comments to be making a live video, because obviously all the inner hemispherians, or the northerners, are having their little nighty-night naps at the moment. And being a Thursday night, they don't want to stay up late. They want to stay up late tomorrow night. So, of course, I'm stuck here talking with myself. And what I decided I would do if I end up sitting there stuck talking with myself is I'm just going to read through random comments of random videos and find a few that I never responded to, but I would have liked to. Oh, here we go. I've got one already from Steve McRae. And, oh, this is good. It's already got one little like. That's nice. When I said to him 50 minutes ago now, it's 50 minutes already, Steve. Wait, this had 31 thumbs down when I was watching. Now it only has 30. Who took their thumb back? Laugh out loud. Anyway, since a few seemed interested in chatting with me further, I might do a live stream shortly. That's what I'm doing now, which, of course, everybody's deliberately staying well away from, because we don't want to be hurt with the truth. We like any stories. Anyway, I might do a live stream shortly after I have lunch. Well, I had lunch, and it was nothing to write home about, but I was already at home anyway, so it's all good. Feel free to ask me anything. I won't be a rude blue spanner mongoloid and ban you or time you out, even if you say things I disagree with. Freedom of speech is a right. Your mods are as bad as any other prejudiced bunch of bigots. That's what inspired me to actually do this live stream right here, right now. Steve McRae did respond to me 15 minutes ago. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you get to say what you want in my live chats. My mod's there to make sure you don't. You don't like it, don't chat. Wow. What a big man, Steve. What? Oh, that's big words. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you get to say what you want in my live chats. Well, forgive me, Steve. I'm sorry that our forefathers fought and died for our right to have freedom of speech. Not in your live chat, huh? Your live chat. You don't own live chat. It just happens to be the one you're making at the time. Doesn't mean it's yours. You don't own free speech, motherfucker. Fuck me dead. Yeah, I'm glad I read your comment. Steve McRae. Dressed up as his fucking cosplay fucking civilian fucking warrior. Civil War warrior. What do you call it? You don't like it, don't chat. That, motherfucker, is censorship. Censorship is evil. You are an evil motherfucker. Therefore, how dare your mods shut me down? How dare they? How dare anybody censor the right to speak? I could almost respond to that. But, I'm in my live chat now. I can say as I like without being timed out by blue-wrenched fucking wankers, bigots, haters of free speech. I can't believe you even said that. I'm gonna thumbs down that. There, take that. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you get to say what you want in my live chats. My mods are there to make sure you don't. Wow. I was being polite. I was even talking with one of your fucking mods about one of his challenges when one of your other mods goes and times me out again. For fuck's fucking sake. You know? Circle jerks are us. Fucking. Anyway. That wasn't the one I came to read, but I found it. I've got a new subscriber. G'day, Shane. Thanks for joining me, mate. 22 minutes away. I go deep inside the rabbit hole. That loaded one. I went and made some comments on that. Owen Benjamin, I was hanging out on his live chat after Fight the Flat Earth's dickhead fucking blue wrench bigots kept timing me out. And so I went and hung out somewhere where I don't get timed out by bigotry. So Owen Benjamin had quite a good discussion there, actually. Maybe I should just go straight to my channel. Always different on the phone, isn't it? Your channel. I got 357 subscribers now. I only had 353 yesterday. That's pretty cool. Cheers, guys. Appreciate it. Click on videos. Three watching. Don't be shy now. Let's see if there's trying to think where the last one was. I think the Going Live Just Cause had some interesting comments on it. I didn't get to address all of. Just pause it because I don't know it. Playing. I'm just reading. Oh, it's got 33 comments. Damn it. How Illuminati. So this person called Ross C. You know, obviously another person who's so proud of his ability to speak freely and publicly. Uses a pseudonym. Can't even publish under their real name. At least I published under my real name, and it's still there and can be seen. Okay. At least I'll give Steve McRae credit for that. You know, at least he's got half a ball. At least he can publish under his real name. But still, to be bigoted and censoring people, gutless cowardice. And I rarely delete comments. I will once in a while if they're really just ignorant, lame ass bullshit sort of comments. But this Ross C says, "You're proving how drugs affect your ability to think clearly, mate." Well, actually, I'm not, because maybe if I did drugs, I think the last time I did drugs, oh yeah, no, I took a pain pill a couple of weeks back. I was in a lot of pain. I had some teeth issues. I've had them addressed. Yeah, and my real teeth too, by the way. In case you're wondering. I don't take drugs. Yeah, maybe once I did an experiment, took a little bit of LSD. I don't really think that's a drug. It's basically acid. It just upset your pH balance, which can affect your mind in some ways. Yeah, I don't really get it how people can say this stuff about how drugs affect your ability to think clearly, mate. I mean, you might say alcohol's a drug. I won't necessarily argue with you on that particular point. Fermented sugar, yeast basically eats the sugar and shits out ethanol, which ethanol then affects the plant substance. So whatever you've been eating or have brewing in your beer might actually extract some medicinal qualities from it, but I don't put cannabis in my beer. In fact, what I do is I make a tincture out of cannabis. I don't even like to smoke the stuff. You soak a few buds in vodka or wine or beer, whatever you choose, but the stronger the alcohol, the more potent will be the tincture. And I have a little sip of that occasionally as required, like I had a little bit yesterday and might have had a little bit the day before, but that's not drugs, that's medicine. So it's amazing how if a doctor prescribes a drug, it's good for you. But if you self-prescribe, somehow that's bad for you and it fucks with your brain. This is the mentality of morons. There we go. I'm basically as close as you can get to being a fully trained, full-fledged naturopath, except the fact I didn't go through school to do it. I educated myself. And I pretty much know and understand the way most herbs and various things work. I know that actually microdosing is a far better thing to do than macrodosing, which is pretty much what science prescribes anyway, a macrodose. They say, well, if it's not quite enough to poison you to death, then that's considered safe. Yeah. Anyway, the whole pharmaceutical industry, I can argue that till the cows come home. Anybody wants to argue pharmaceuticals with me? Well, I'll tell you one thing. I grew up, my very first job, because my mother was a pharmacist. So even as a child, after school, if I walked down to get a lift home with my mother, I'd be hanging out at pharmacy. So I kind of like grew up in a pharmacy. That whole culture around pharmacy was pretty much my life. As we moved to the coast when I was 13 years old, when my mother bought a pharmacy, a place called Hawk's Nest, that was my first job on the weekends, was sitting in there, putting stamps on the scripts so she got paid for them, and listening to her as she got the newspapers sent from Bathurst, where we originated from. She'd get a mother to save the newspapers up. Once a month, she'd send a stack of newspapers to us, and so she could sit there and get all the latest news, because that was basically her life, was all evolved around the community and the news. And the one thing that really stands out that I remember the most is she'd always be reading through the obituary column, and every now and then a name would stand out. Oh, yes, that person, I remember that one. That was a customer of ours. They were probably on this and this and this sort of drugs. That's the pharmaceutical industry, is giving people something to suppress the symptoms of the disease enough so that they can cope, and then have to take something else to cope with the side effects of that particular drug. So when somebody tells me that my mind is fucked because of drugs, I became the complete opposite of drugs because of that upbringing, because I could see, hang on, She was never selling any cures. Every one of these prescriptions that she was fulfilling on behalf of the doctor who prescribed it and paid for by the government was killing people, slowly but surely, or it was suppressing the symptoms as it allowed them to die, slowly but surely. By the way, I finally got a comment. Let's have a read. I do need my glasses. Humanity is enslaved by maritime admiralty law. That's an awesome nickname. Pharmaceuticals mask symptoms. That's all they're designed to do, mate. 100%. They're symptom blockers. So, say for example, you've got a headache. It doesn't address the cause of your headache. It might just be dehydration. It might be something in your spine out of alignment. But you take some sort of pharmaceutical product that blocks those signals. It doesn't treat the cause of what gave you the headache in the first place. That's where you need a sensible doctor, somebody with a brain behind them and says, you're dehydrated. Oh, your spine's out of whack. Oh, you've got a splinter in your foot, and that's making you walk crookedly, and that's what's making you put your spine out of alignment. Therefore, you're getting a headache. There could be multiple reasons for your headache, but you just take this one cure-all pill that will just block you from having a headache. You'll never know what caused it in the first place. That's all the whole pharmaceutical industry is all about, and that's why I do not do drugs. So Ross C, whoever the hell you are, you can't even use your real name, coming onto my channel and saying that I'm proving how drugs affect my ability to think clearly, well, then I think I've clearly just debunked you. Thanks for coming. Dennis Picard, I said something positive. Cheers, mate. Did very well on the Fight the Flat Earth show. Craig was getting a bit sweaty around the bollocks gravity world. They just pull this nonsense out of their ass. That's so true. I was listening to him again talk to somebody else on, I think it was his channel today. Or no, it might have been, was it Hip Hop Hippie or was it? He was talking to, I think, another dude. Anyway, he still pulls the same arguments out of his ass all the time. And he's saying that gravity now works by, think of it like a trampoline, and you put a heavy weight in the middle. That weight creates a well. And so anything spinning around it falls into the well. This is their explanation they try and give us. They give to, open-minded people to try and tell you how this nonsense works, that the Earth creates a gravity well because of its mass. The moon has mass, and it's in the bucket of well. I mean, I can explain many things quite logically, like if you get a string attached to a ball and you spin it around, fair enough. That ball will keep orbiting the center of gravity, which is centripetal force pushing it outwards the whole time, keeps it in orbit. You let it go, it goes flying off. There's no string attached to the moon. The Earth, in heliocentrism bullshit, is hurtling around the sun 66,600 miles per hour. No string, nothing holding the moon in place. There's no logical explanation that a heliocentrist has ever been able to postulate to say why the moon is repelled as we're going towards it, why it's attracted as we're going away from it, as we're hurtling through space. There's just absolutely nothing. All right. Well, now we've got a question about the flat Earth. Thanks, humanity is enslaved by maritime admiralty. That's a hard word to speak when you're sober. Maritime admiralty law. What's beyond the ice wall barrier? Well, I've never been there, so I really don't know. I can postulate that there's more continents beyond there. I mean, the first thing I would think is you've got Antarctica. Who knows what's beyond there? We can't actually go there and check for ourselves. So at this stage, all we can say is it's a war and we don't know. Did Admiral Byrd actually get further beyond there and discover this land that he claimed is at least the size of the continental USA, that no man has ever set foot on before, and it's very, very quiet because obviously no woman has ever set foot there as well. I thought that was a really good little tongue-in-cheek comment he made about that. There's never been women there, so. But no, have you ever heard of the Iron Republic? That's another thing you should look up. That was a documented weekly, I think it was, or monthly story a certain author was publishing in a magazine or a newspaper sometime around the 1900s, talking about the Iron Republic, which he, as a sailor, claimed to have discovered. And it's a place where there is a break beyond through the ice wall, which occasionally opens up on particularly warm summers. So I think you pretty much go due south from South America. That's why most Antarctic exploration keeps going to that same particular place. It's the one that Captain Cook was looking for too, because he'd also heard the rumour of this so-called Great Southern Land, not Australia or New Holland. New Holland had been known about for at least 200 years, and it wasn't worth much to anybody because it was just full of Aborigines who were quite happy and content, had nothing of wealth to trade, and basically laughed at you if you tried to offer them gold or silver or whatever. They'd just be like, fucking crazy white man. So, yeah, there was known to be this Great Southern Land, Iron Republic. And then there's also those other maps that have surfaced. What was it? The Japanese Buddhist temple preserved this map for many hundreds of years, showing, of course, 33 other continents beyond what appears to be several rings placed around our known Earth, which seem to represent Antarctica, ice wall, perhaps even a physical barrier wall that we cannot get through. Because I think for whatever reason, one reason or another, we can always speculate what those reasons might be, but I think at the end of the day, we are imprisoned here within this particular part of the world. Could be heaven, could be hell, could be the Hotel California. I don't know. Either way, we're all prisoners here of our own device. Yeah, I've got one right here. Cry Havoc. This guy comes along and says, just watch the debate with Fight the Flat Earth. Your opening statement shows that you don't understand the globe Earth model. Well, that's not at all true, mate. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to stick to the live comments if I keep getting live ones. Why do you think the Flat Earth truth is suppressed? Well, think about it. If you thought that you were in control of the world, which you basically have to be in control of it, which is what government means. You know, govern means to rule, meant means the mind. So to rule our mind means you have to control our thoughts. So it's all about controlling our thoughts. Now, if we all believed or understood we lived on a flat, infinite plane, that opens up many questions as saying, well, who is actually keeping us in here? Who is imprisoning us? If we don't believe that this particular person exists, if we sort of think, well, you know, Satan is a made-up entity from some biblical believers and stuff that we can just ridicule and write it off, then we'll just believe anything we're told. We'll believe we're on the outside surface of a spinning ball, 71% covered in water that curves. We'll believe anything. That's what I think it's all about. It's all about suppression of truth. And the more suppressed we are, the more they control our minds. Therefore, we make more profitable slaves. I mean, at the end of the day, there's got to be some advantage to them controlling our minds, whoever them or they are. I'd love to know. I'd actually really love to know why they are suppressing that truth, why they invented the spinning ball earth magic. Well, I think it really all boils down to, at the end of the day, is there is a competition going on between higher powers, higher principles. I don't think that God personally is involved, because God's not a person, for one thing, but there are higher beings who, at the end of the day, you're going to get bored. If you know everything, you can control everything. You've made love with all the beautiful women you can possibly make love with. You've eaten all the finest foods. You've picked all the finest fruits. You've climbed all the highest mountains. Eventually, you're just going to grow bored. And so what do you do then? Well, you create a competition. And you can't have a competition without a competitor. So you have to have the greatest of one side and the greatest of the other side. And eventually, as they keep evolving and getting stronger and smarter and better and whatever, there's going to be balance. There's always going to be this yin and yang between good and bad. It's just, I guess that is evolution, really, when you boil it down to it. So with one side, then eventually you're going to have to reach a point and say, well, what is the ultimate competition? What is the ultimate competition? And this is how I've interpreted it. It's the ultimate competition would be to set a free thinking, highly intelligent, free will species of organic creatures imbued with all the intelligence of the gods, set them free, and maybe oppress them into the most worst, cruel conditions you can imagine, and see if they are still capable of being oppressed and suppressed and have all their knowledge stolen from them, to the point that each and every one of them will freely, of their own free will, sell their soul to the devil, to the Satan being, in order to have a moment of richness and fame for an eternity of hell and damnation and suffering. And if eventually each and every one of us sells our soul because of the way we've allowed our media to manipulate our minds, the way we've stopped thinking for ourselves, the way we've stopped being true to ourselves, that we just want to be popular, we just want our moment of fame. If all of humanity reaches that point, or enough of a tipping point, which I would think has to be 99.99%, then that way we declare a winner. The devil has won. You've won this competition. I guess you get to have better rights or something. I don't know what the prize would be, but the prize would be proving God infallible. Mushroom Man, how you doing, dude? Thanks for dropping by. Mushroom. It's funny, I was on Owen Benjamin's live debate today. He was calling muzzos muzzos. I said, no, I call them muzzos. I think it's got a better ring to it than muzzos. I got that right. I'll have to go back and look. Who controls the world? Well, nobody really controls the world. We control the world by what we consent to. Yeah, I'm hot and cold. Benjamin. He's cool. He's got some really great moments, and he's got some real dick moments as well. Very egotistical. But hey, that's what people love about him. We like to see a strong male figure, and he's pretty strong. So who controls the world? Well, at this stage, we know the world is run by powers that are, let's say, they leave a bit to be desired. I would say it's a prison state. It's a prison farm. In a free world, we wouldn't be fined for walking the wrong way across the street, taking a diagonal path across an intersection, jaywalking. That would be out of the question. Who rules the world, basically? I mean, we each individually rule our own world. We can make up our own minds. If we want to cross the street dangerously and cause an accident to ourselves, we have the right to determine that. You know, we have the right to throw ourselves off a cliff if that's our choice. But ideally, we're going to make the choice to live, to be pro-life, to be creating a better world for the next generation. I think that's what it should be all about. But all I see with this current generation is we're becoming more and more of a police state. We're being more and more told what to do by, I mean, who dictates where and when we can travel? It's the governments. You can't just jump in a plane and travel around the world, even though technically you can do that if you have a passport, if you follow all their checkpoint procedures, if you submit yourself to all that humiliation and you get told how long you can stay because you got a visa, all the rest of it. Yeah, we're kind of free, but in reality, we're fuck all free, fuck all freedom at all. Who rules this world is laws and insanity. Insanity rules this world because most of the people believe we live on the outside surface of a spinning ball hurtling through a vacuum. Exactly, man. Moving us to the cities and be less self-sufficient, we become reliant on the system. And who used to control the farms was farmers, good old-fashioned people who managed the land. Now who's doing it? It's freaking massive corporations filling our world full of poison, filling our food full of poison. Less and less crops are being able to be grown because of the way they're treating the land, the way they're treating the seed system. The whole Satan situation is just out of hand. Oh, hello, Charlie. So did you figure out what a rebreather is and how long it has been used for diving? How about the use of CO2 scrubbers? Actually, no, I didn't bother Googling it because I've done enough research of those in the past. And I know that scrubbing out the CO2 from already breathed air is ridiculously expensive. And so we're basically just told it's out of the question. Just pretend that they did it when they walked on the moon with one tiny little oxygen bottle per astronaut. I nearly said scuba diver. Oh, geez, do you think all of space was made in a Hollywood basement underwater? Well, you can clearly see them kicking up dust, behaving exactly like dust does on Earth, not behaving as dust might do in 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. Did you see the link that I posted here in the description? Feel free to go and watch that anytime and come back and we'll talk about that. What do you think about the cycle of the world ending and then starting new in relation to present time? G'day, J Dreamers. Thanks for the question. I don't think anything about that. I think that the world is a continual system. No start, no finish. There's never been a time that man hasn't been. We've always been here, always will be. We've always been somehow created in a perfect sort of image. We might go through dips and falls occasionally, and maybe there's resets every now and then. Maybe sometimes something goes so incredibly wrong that the whole world does end, but I don't think it's ever completely ended. I think that we're tenacious enough to survive just about anything. And I think we've survived some pretty major cataclysms in the past, like when they destroyed all the giant trees and burnt them all, and we lived for perhaps centuries in perpetual darkness. I think that's entirely possible, but I don't think there's ever been a complete and utter total reset. Mushroom man. The education system is designed to force us into slave labor and become subservient to the government. It's exactly what it is, mate. They've been doing that since day dot. Well, for at least as many generations as we can imagine. You know, at one stage it was considered an advantage to have an education. You could read books. Books were full of knowledge, but what's happened over the time is that they've pretty much taken control of everything. the people that are controlling the world right now, control the big oil, big pharma, cotton, oil, paper, all the people that suppressed the cannabis from the common man in the first place, took all our wealth, taken all our land. They've pretty much done a good job, and they've taken over all of our schools, all of our learning. I think the whole need to take a breather every now and then. The whole take a breather. Yeah, man, it's bad when you can't even think of the term for your dark ages. Maybe if I turn my phone off, it'll stop frying my brain. Never know. I'll read a couple of comments in because that's what I'm here for. Charlie, so did you figure out what a rebreather is and how long it's been used for diving? Oh, I've read that one already. Sorry, this one. Amusing. The tech is used in professional diving. No, it's not. As I said, mate, my father, even though he was an accountant and my mother was a pharmacist and they had a pharmacy together, because he lost a leg when I was a child, one of the only things he could do for physical activity was basically swimming, and eventually he took up diving. So he became a scuba diver. And as a result of his interest in it, a way for him to fund it and basically pay for all his expenses was to run scuba diving charter business. So he had his big inflatable rubber ducky boat, we called it. He had a couple of them over the years, but one of them was this massive one, which he was even able to hire out. I think Home and Away used to hire him occasionally because it had the nice flat floor on it, and they could film some of the ocean shots from it. So he had a charter diving business, scuba diver. He invested hundreds of dollars into this big air compressor thing so they could fill up scuba tanks. Never, ever, ever in the history of professional diving is there mention of people using CO2 scrubbers as professional divers. It's just not a thing. You might like to think it is if you live in fantasy world, but here in reality, they compress air into tanks. And two of those tanks strapped to their back would last about an hour underwater. Now you go to the moon with one tiny little oxygen tank, you still got to breathe all the way to the moon and all the way back again as well. I think there's about 3 days each way. Stand me corrected if I'm wrong there. And then they're on the surface for what, 9 hours, 15 hours? It just depends which story you believe in. That's a different story every time. What the fuck were they actually breathing? Scrubbed air. Every time you breathe in, I think the formula goes with the atmosphere is generally 17% oxygen as we breathe in. As we breathe out, it's got about 14% oxygen. So you've got a fair bit of in and out there. And if you add a little bit of oxygen to it every time and scrub out the carbon dioxide, why would you worry about scrubbing out the carbon dioxide anyway? Carbon dioxide's pretty harmless. As you're scrubbing that out, that's meant to give you like 2 weeks of travel and playing golf and driving a moon buggy on a fucking moon. I mean, do you guys really ever think about your things before you sit down and say, oh, yeah, CO2 scrubber will make you be able to breathe for 2 weeks on one tiny little can of oxygen? Humanity is enslaved by maritime admiralty law. Thou is most powerful family in the world. Thou means farmer in German. Interesting. Interesting how a lot of the things have come from Germany in the first place. Like the Rothschilds being the Red Shields, they changed their name from something that meant something else altogether. It was a Jewish name. But because they had a red shield in the shape of that 6-pointed star, changed it to Red Shields, which also sounds a lot like Red Cross when you think about it. Might have to go and check Schindler's List again. Moon landings are hilarious. 1960s cinema at its best. Exactly. I think that link worked right in the description. There are lots of videos on YouTube about diving with rebreathers. Why don't you even try to look? Here is one. Well, thanks, Charlie. I'll probably will take a look then. If You know, YouTube is the repertoire of all knowledge. Is that the right word? Not repertoire. You know the word I meant. Can't think of them all right now. It's the repository. The repository of all knowledge. Funny thing is, every time you go onto a Facebook page to discuss anything, and you use a YouTube video to say here's proof according to the flat Earth truth, people will just automatically YouTube videos don't count. Okay, whatever. I don't do that, so I will say, cool. You've left the link there. I'll check it out later. It's not a lack of curiosity, mate. I just don't see how this sort of technology in the late 60s, early 70s was used to enable a bunch of dudes to go to the moon and keep breathing the same air that they breathed out over and over and over just by adding tiny little amounts of oxygen at any given time. So, you know, if you can prove that beyond the shadow of a doubt, then, hey, there's one tiny little point I'll stand corrected on. The other one, which I think is hilarious, is they'll show them playing golf on the moon, 1/6 of the Earth's gravity, no atmosphere. So the Earth is, I mean, the moon is going around the Earth, apparently 2,288 miles per hour. Divide that by 60 and divide that by 60 again to get it in seconds. It's going 0.635 miles per hour. So let's just say slightly over half a mile per hour. Just for its speed, it's going around the Earth. So anytime you jumped off the surface and you don't have any atmosphere of the moon pushing you around with it, because now they tell us that it is in our atmosphere. They always keep changing their story. But let's just assume zero atmosphere in a vacuum. If you jumped up and it's going over half a mile a second beneath you, you're going to land half a mile away. They say the reason it doesn't happen on Earth is the Earth is spinning at 1,040 miles per hour is because the atmosphere is all moving as one and it pushes hot air balloons and helicopters and everything, all other flying things with it. Oh, plus inertia. Yeah, don't forget inertia. We'll bring in inertial frames of reference too, because that explains everything. And gravity. It's just ridiculous. There's no way that a golf ball, once it's been shot off from the surface of the moon, will keep following the same normal looking sort of path that we would see it on the Earth, in the atmosphere, under all your other beliefs, spinning balls, moving atmospheres, etc., etc., etc. It all goes out the window once you're on a flying vehicle in outer space. Moonlander stirred no dust upon landing. Yep, good one. Humanity is enslaved by maritime admiralty. I keep stumbling over that word. Admiralty law. But when you watch some of those ones that Quaid, I have to say it right, Quaid on Flat Earth, where he was being shown by hip-hop hippie actual footage from people on the moon falling over and stuff, getting picked up by invisible wires, you could see the dust flying out beneath their boot heels, behaving exactly as it would if you say in the Nevada or New Mexico, anywhere in Hollywood really, desert. The dust behaves as you'd expect it to do in Earth's gravity field in the atmosphere, but it does exactly the same on the moon too. What a coincidence that is. Maybe they weren't actually on the moon. Maybe it's impossible to go to the moon. I'd say it's 100% impossible to go to the moon. There is another theory, though. This is one I talk about a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's quite funny, is that the craters on the moon are actually like pit bugs. If you've ever seen somewhere dry where you get these little pits made by pit bugs and ants crawl into them, when they crawl into them, they can't crawl back out, and the bug's down there waiting to capture them. and then eventually their pit gets bigger and bigger. Well, that's really what's inhabiting the moon. It's all just pit bugs. And because moths get attracted to the light, all the moths that fly there throughout the years and seasons and so forth, they make these pit bugs really massive, and they've just been feasting on moths for thousands and millions of years. And so when we did go to the moon, we fell into one of these pits. They looked like a crater. And because we couldn't scramble out of it, we just got sucked down into it, and the pit bugs ate us all. And NASA said, "Oh, we can't show this live on television. How about we just go film it in a studio and pretend that never happened?" Yeah, bit of light-hearted comedy there. Rebreathers were used in the 40s. I'd like to believe that. "100% fake." I mean, it amuses me more than anything that people today actually think we did go to the moon. And what you'll find, though, this is the interesting thing about it, this is the bit that amuses me the most. It's the same people who believe we live on the outside surface of a spinning ball. Why is it always the same gullible, brainwashed, moronic, educated, indoctrinated believers in one thing that believe everything else? I mean, it's good to believe some stuff and have some faith in humanity, but at the end of the day, if you're not skeptical about everything or anything, you pretty much leave yourself open to being a gullible idiot, or, as you might like to say, an obedient slave. If they control your mind, they control your thoughts, you do what you're told. I mean, some of them get a free ticket. I think that's why people like Quaig, for example, he's got his free ticket because he disabled himself while working in the Navy. How did he get into the Navy? Well, he got there through the British Royal Navy, through free training, free education, free indoctrination. Where else is it going to come from? Why else would it be free? Why would they give you a little sense of power freely when basically their wealth, their success depends upon having well-trained little robots running the show for them, believing what they're told? And I think we've just sort of hit the nail on the head as to why the hell globe heads even exist in the first place. Cheers, mushroom man. That's their religion. Atheists, pretty much. Yeah. They'd rather believe in, I don't know. It's sad. It's really sad and sorry. The fact that these people, they'll believe in their monarchy, their hierarchy, their slave system, their control system. They'll accept their little pension once they've injured themselves enough, but they won't go so far as to question, what's the real beast at the top of this system? They're happy, they're content. They don't want to create that sort of turmoil in their belief structure. It would hurt too much. Yeah, exactly. They're the ones, actually, they're the police. That's what the Navy and the Army and the military and the police are all there for. They're the ones hired by the hierarchy, to control our minds. And if we step outside the boundaries, they'll fine us. And I mean, that's a really weird word for it, isn't it? Fine. I don't find anything fine about that. Fine should be a happy word. We're going to fine you for that. Ah, that's nice. Give me all your money. Ah, I don't find that fine at all. I think that is a ridiculous situation. But what else can they take off you if you got no money? Your life, your liberty, your freedom. Lock you in a cage, take away your freedom. Or the threat of taking away your freedom is often enough to keep people finding things to keep them happy. It's we're on the very edge, very boundary of a revolution because we no longer believe everything that we're told. This is why I think flat Earth is the greatest discovery in the history or the known history of modern humankind. I think, as I said before, we've been around for a very, very long time. And I think we go through various stages. And maybe that's part of evolution. Maybe it is. I don't know. Is that we go through various stages of a reset where we, the children, eventually rise up through the oppression of multiple generations. And when we take control, eventually we'll become the oppressors of the next lot. Maybe that's how it works. Maybe that's why we do it, because we figure, okay, well, now we've got everything. We've got all the food we want. We've got all the energy we need. Life is good. Everything is great. Now what? Let's have a competition. And so we go around and around and around. It's an interesting thought process, really. I mean, I've never thought about it on that level before, previously myself. Are the controllers panicking or firmly in control? I like that question. I believe they believe they're firmly in control. And all they have to do is get that little bit more angry and say, well, we'll just, what's the word? Employ, enroll, enforce. We'll just make another 500 police officers. Because that's what they're doing at the moment here in Australia anyway, 450. Apparently, that's all it takes here in Australia. Another 450 policy enforcers that will shut us up. Or where, pretty much I think all they're really doing is controlling information, and information is knowledge. Knowledge is power. They don't like power being held by other people. So when we have power, knowledge, they have to suppress it or oppress us in some way or another. Now, they can only do so much with the media, the sports, the news, and all the rest, because now that we have the internet, there are people like me popping up, crazy nutters popping up out of the bloody woodwork, saying things aren't as we're told they're told that they are. We've also got our David Ikes and so forth. There are many people of intelligence popping up and rocking the boat. And so what they can do, well, they can control how much work you get, because you need to earn money to be able to pay your bills, to have the internet access, to be able to put fuel in your car, to be able to go to work and keep doing that same endless cycle. I know. That's been the story of my life for how many years now. And if you have a love interest, well, you're going to have to pay $2,000 application fee just to put in an application for a visa to get her here into your country. So they control us through the dollar. That's pretty much the best way to control us. The dollar, our access to information. By keep increasing the technology all the time, now we're going up to 5G, well, we can just make it more and more expensive all the time. So therefore, what you could do for a dial-up thing for $20 a year 15 years ago now costs you like $100 a month just to have internet access, which therefore controls the information, which is the knowledge, control the knowledge, control everything, control power. So are they firmly in control? Nah, I think they're shitting in their pants because they know that when enough of us grow some balls and contest them, but pretty much they've controlled the playing field. They own the playing field. They think there is nowhere that we can contest them. So now that we've got the knowledge, what have we got left? We've got YouTube. And so what are they doing with YouTube? They're just shutting people down, shutting people's live streams down all the time, demonetizing people. Well, thank goodness that doesn't concern me because I've never been monetized. I don't rely on this for an income. But what I have noticed over the last few weeks is I used to be watching, I leave it on autoplay as I go to sleep at night. I might be listening to Globebusters or something, and when I wake up in the morning, there'll still be Globebusters playing, for example. Now, when I wake up in the morning, there's some NASA channel playing, some official NASA thing, and so I listen to it and go, wow, people actually believe this mainstream nonsense. This is the way it's going. They're shitting in their pants just by what you can see they're doing with YouTube. Facebook, I'm not sure what they're doing with that just yet. I think we've been a little bit more controlled with that for longer. But the thing is, we just get smart to it. We just get wise and we say, oh, well, if you're going to give us a 30-day ban for saying this about Nazis or Jew or hollow hoax or whatever, we just won't say that about Nazis or Jews or hollow hoax or whatever any longer. We'll play along to get along. But we'll still be holding our knowledge and dropping our truths in here and there, just enough so we don't get banned, so we don't get censorship, which is pretty much what I'm making this video all about, is about censorship. And you even saw it with what I said earlier about Steve McRae's comment. I actually should go back and read that again because I think that, to me, is the epitome of what this is all about, the censorship. Close that down. Let's go back. Inbox. Oh, I've got 2 inboxes now. New subscriber. Thanks, Humanities Enslaved by Maritime Admiralty Law. Thanks for subscribing, man. Appreciate it. It's still right up here at the top. Steve McRae still says he hasn't deleted it. I have a feeling he might even be quietly watching from time to time here. Because I said, first of all, I'll read it again for those of you who missed it earlier. I'll read that one again in a moment, sir. I said, wait, this had 31 thumbs down when I was watching. Now it only has 30. Who took their thumb back? Laugh out loud. Anyway, since a few seemed interested in chatting with me further, of course, they don't come up when given the opportunity to actually chat with me. They just rather sit there and hit their block button or whatever. Might do a live stream shortly after I have lunch. Feel free to ask me anything. I won't be a rude blue spanner mongoloid and ban you or time you out, even if you do say things I disagree with. Freedom of speech is a right. Your mods are as bad as any other prejudiced bunch of bigots. And it's now got 2 fucking likes. Yeah. Suck that, Steve McRae. Steve McRae's response. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you get to say what you want in my live chats. My mods are there to make sure you don't. You don't like it, don't chat. Yeah, that's the opposite of free speech. The opposite of free speech. How can I put that any clearer? You are anti-free speech, you fucking commie. You Nazi. I feel sorry for all those men who gave their lives fighting for the right to free speech. So you can come along and say, freedom of speech doesn't mean you get to say what you want in my live chats. My mods are there to make sure you don't like it, don't chat. Whether I like it or not, I still don't get the right to chat, do I? Because they're there to make sure I don't. You fucking Nazi cunt. Okay. I heard myself. I'm feeling better. Is all opposition controlled or are some operating autonomously? That's a really good question. Humanity is enslaved by maritime admiralty law. Is all opposition controlled or are some operating autonomously? I would tend to think that the majority of the opposition is actually it's sort of been preset by the brainwashing that these people were given as children. They don't even have to be told to do it. They just voluntarily become the opposition, thinking that they are arguing in favour of the approval of their gods. You know, that's basically what a global believer is all about. If you appease your masters well enough and you seem to be doing a good job, well, you will be granted favours by these gods of heliocentrism. They will, oh, look at this good globe defender. We'll let this one step up a rank in his slave trade and give him a higher pay grade because he's a very obedient little globe defender. Yeah, that's all they are. They're all ass kisses. I don't think any of them really are actually deliberately working for the forces of evil that suppress humanity, that make us all slaves. They are voluntarily doing it. When I say voluntarily, it's because they get their monetary rewards and so forth. I mean, obviously, I'm not an ass kisser. So it's been raining all week. I'm not getting rewarded by the gods because when the gods make it rain like this, I don't get work. I get no financial income. Therefore, I should go and kiss some more globe ass or something. I don't know. Anyway, Fyodor Dostoevsky is back again. Good to see you, mate. I enjoyed our conversation we had the other day, I think it was. Was it yesterday or the day before? Day before. Isn't there a line, though? Like, if you threaten to kill someone, also anyone can ban anyone. It isn't like here's the government and required to let everyone speak. He can ban on a whim. Well, no, that's true. But banning somebody on a whim is sort of like saying, well, I'm not the government. I can't shut down the whole internet, but I can shut down this little bit. I can do my little bit for the government and be the oppressor of somebody who I disagree with simply because I can. And that's what the problem is you got these fucking the blue wrenches as to who and what can be said and what can be said in the discussion. It's just a live discussion. It's not really anything at all. And I come along and I make a few comments, and next thing you know, I'm getting bombarded by a lot of people who just love to try and shut me down however they can. And so I just do my best to try and answer questions as best I can, as honestly as I can. And then the next thing you know, I'm writing a thing and I hit send and it says, timed out. Well, you got a 5-minute timeout. I'm like, well, what the fuck? You know, I'm trying to answer questions from moderators themselves. That's all. Yeah, why the fuck? Why does anybody shut anybody down? I mean, surely the intention should be, if you think somebody is wrong, you think they're an idiot, give them more rope. More rope. Let them hang themselves. Don't just shut them down and block them, because when you do that, you are showing your fear. You are being a coward. A fucking coward. That's what's happening when the mods time me out, is that they are cowards. They are anti-truth, anti-freedom of speech. They're in favour of censorship. They're like communist fucking pricks. And I won't stand for that sort of shit. You know, they want to do that on their sites, fine. You know, that's their site. They're totally entitled to do that. But then why ask me the questions in the first place if all you're going to do is censor me from being able to answer it at the end of the day? Oh, you did have a look at the 2 bob coin from Canberra. Yeah, I thought I'd post that. I wasn't going to, but the more I talked about it, I thought it was worth posting it anyway. Yeah, I do honestly try not to get into conspiracy theories. Yeah, I've been called a conspiracy theorist for so many years, even though I'm really like the least conspiratorial type you could imagine. I just see the truth in something, like I did with 9/11. When I looked into 9/11, because I didn't have mainstream television, but I did have the internet. And what I saw on the internet, and I've got an intellect, between the internet and my intellect, within 3 days, you know, back then all my internet basically involved was 9MSN, mainstream media. Mainstream media? Anyway, 9MSN, it was a discussion page, the news discussion page. That was it. That was my source of news. So everything I learned about 9/11, I learned off this discussion board, 9MSN news discussion board. Within 3 days, no other conspiratorial people in it whatsoever, just people showing what the mainstream media was showing. I knew it was an inside job. 3 days. Inside job, absolutely 100% proven in my mind. Now, I spent the next 12 months copying shit of people left, right, and centre. In fact, within about a couple of weeks, the whole page was shut down because of all the conspiratorial people that came along and were blowing it wide apart. They couldn't handle it. 9/11 was too big for the servers or whatever to handle. But what they did do is divide it out into a whole heap of different discussion boards. And I ended up on a few, and that's where I sort of hung out for quite some time. And of course, I also got into chemtrails. And the people I'm arguing against chemtrails the whole majority of the time were ex-pilots, ex-patriots, ex-military men, ex-people who serve the government, the ones who are here to control our minds in the first place. This is what I keep talking about. Who is running the show? Well, they're the ones who pay people to do the dirty work. I agree. Conspiracies contain more truth than media outlets or educational institutes provide. Institutions. That's the whole problem. But then all they have to do is go and drop a little keyword in the media once in a while and call them conspiracy theorists. So therefore, they're crazy nutters, tinfoil hat wearers. Haven't worn my tinfoil hat in a while. They just have to drop a few little lines like that. And so therefore then the dumbed down masses can sit in their comfy chair and conspiracy theories and that. Pass me more popcorn, flick the channel over to the sports. You know, whatever distraction you need that makes you feel comfortable in your belief. But some of us tinfoil hat wearers, we just keep looking and we keep digging and we will keep finding little bits of truth, a little bit here, a little bit there. And eventually you start to create your own bigger picture, which shows that there is something going on they do not want us to know about. How do they do that? Let's just ridicule them some more. Let's just get a favourite comedian to do another appearance and can you believe there are flat earth believers, and do a skit on that. And therefore, there you go, you got another 65 million people brainwashed into thinking, brainwashed idiot, whatever, brain dead morons, believe we live on a flat earth. How can anyone believe we live on a flat earth? We've known for thousands of years that we live on a spinning ball. And it's like, it's so easy for them to just accept it because they're told they've known it for thousands of years. You know, it's, yeah, but millions of people watched 9/11 live on television, therefore it must have been real because we've seen it on the television. Well, of course it was real. But what you don't know is that this one fella that I spoke with, and it was not to do with 9/11 in the first place, how we met. I happened to get a letter published in a local paper about chemtrails. And he rang me up on the phone and says, how did you get them to publish your paper? Do you know somebody in the paper? Do you have family or something? I said, no, I wrote my letter in such a way that it would kind of make me look like a bit of a crazy idiot, conspiracy theorist, which that's how you sort of have to go about things if you're going to be spreading the truth that nobody wants to talk about. And because I made predictions about what was going to happen the following Easter with the East Coast Blues and Roots Festival at Byron Bay, and I said what's going to happen is we're going to get crazy festival weather and that multiple people are going to get very, very sick. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, exactly as I predicted it happens. He was like, even your predictions were spot on. I'm like, yeah, because I saw the pattern last year, and so I thought I'd just go out of my way to make myself look ridiculous by making a prediction and see if I could be proven wrong. And I wasn't. And anyway, so this guy gets in touch with me, and turns out he's an ex-Israeli Air Force officer. Yeah, remember that? Israel, ex-Israeli Air Force officer. He says he left Israel because he could see what was going on. He went to America, became an American Air Force officer, saw it was even more evil over there, hijacked his way or escaped to Australia here, lived in the back hills of Mullumbimby, where he was raising his family. I have a feeling he's been taken out by now, but anyway. But he tries to tell me one day, he came and visited me because we'd sit and have some, we'd just have some conversations in my pet store back then based on chemtrails, and he liked to talk about UFOs as well. He was a real repertoire of knowledge of UFOs and what they really are. And he brought up out of the blue 9/11, and he says to me, well, you know, 9/11's an inside job, don't you? And looking at me as though I'm going to like, what the fuck? No, that's stupid, man. Of course it's not. I was like, yeah, of course I know. I knew that within 3 days, and this was only like a year or so afterwards. And he just looks at me and goes, oh, how do you know? Most people usually react to that with violent anger or something. And I said, oh, it's pretty darn obvious, isn't it? You know, Building 7 fell when that plane that was designed to hit it didn't hit it, but was wired to be demolished anyway. And so he turns around and says to me, well, 30 years ago, when he was back in Israel as an Israeli Air Force officer with high security clearance, mind you, he said he read the script as they were building those buildings, how it was all intended in the first place. You know, if you think 9/11 was just a freak occurrence that wasn't designed well in advance, then you've got a bit of catching up to do. All of this stuff, it's a long-term goal from these people. They've been doing this for a very long time. So to think 30 years is a big time for them, that's just nothing. It's a blink of an eye. Oh, we can build massive towers. We'll fill them full of explosives. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Something that will blow up, something will go boom. And they will even add to it as the technology improved over time. They will make these predictions ahead of time. The Illuminati cards came out like 5 years beforehand as well, showing the Twin Towers. You've got so many different predictive programming all around the place. This stuff was known about by people on the inside who know stuff for a long, long time. So, of course, they knew it was going to happen. It was designed to happen. So when someone comes along like me, I don't know nothing. I don't have any of this inside information. I see it happening, and I say within 3 days, that's an inside job. Look at that. They've got a term for me already. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Israeli art students had full access to the towers for 2 years prior to the collapse. That's interesting. There was also a shipping company, I think they were called ZEM, ZEM, ZEM Shipping Company. They'd been in the World Trade Center for decades. 2 weeks before, oh, let's just cut our contract short and move out. Yeah, that makes sense. Why not also double the insurance 2 weeks beforehand when a rich Jew, Silverstein, comes along and buys the buildings, doubles insurance and double dips because it was um, two different attacks, even though the same day. I mean, it's like the Titanic story all over again. When you know something's doomed for destruction, oh, go and double the insurance quick. Well, we own the insurance companies. All we'll just keep doing is we'll take more wealth from the people who keep paying their insurance, and they just keep paying each other out all the time, all at our expense, having a big old laugh. Yeah, double dip, no worries. Oh, I think the Olympics call it the Titanic. No worries. Oh, let's just create a Federal Reserve on the back of it because we managed to kill all the opposition in the insurance fraud scam we did anyway. No worries. That's the story of the world we live upon. And if you think that you can be effective in opposition towards it, no worries. 2 bullets to the back of the head while you hang yourself from a tree. They get called suicide. Yep, too easy. Hello, 9/11. What's the number for Hillary Hinton? Fucking banana phone. Sorry about that. Over 3,000 architects and engineers testified that towers cannot be toppled the way they did. We know that. I was telling people that way back. But of course, people believe what they're told on the media. I went to one of our family reunions down at Sydney not long after, and I basically got chastised for everything I was saying by an engineer. He's a pilot. He knows all this sort of stuff. And he says, oh, the pancake effect, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, come on. Seriously, steel melts. Yeah. From they burn fuel inside engines, combustion engines made of steel. But it melts steel floors because, it's, well, they're not made to combustion engine standards. Yeah. There was just way too much about 9/11. To me, it's a non-argument. You want to talk about 9/11, go listen to Brian Staveley. He's he's right onto it. I love his stuff about Mandela as well. Let's talk about Mandela effect. They'll probably call it Mandola effect next thing you know. And it's like, no, it was always Mandela. I mean, who the hell didn't know C3PO always had a silver leg? I feel like getting drunk. I'm going to drink some Stones, mate. Anyone want to have a drink with me? Okay, that's sobered me up. Feel better now. So where were we? Mandola effect. Seriously, when I was in high school, I think it was the mid-80s, we heard that Nelson Mandela had died in prison. Somehow, Nelson Mandela became the president of South Africa later on in life. Now, here's an interesting one. I think this one is worth looking into if you like looking into stuff that will spin you out. Not only did Nelson Mandela die back then, but when I was born, which was 71, Jimi Hendrix died. But later on, somebody became a media star called Morgan Freeman. And of course, he's one of the greatest actors we still have to this day. But his name is Morgan Freeman. And Jimi Hendrix also died at that famous 27-year-old place or hurdle that so many famous actors and musicians die at. There's also that other one called, come to me in a second, James Morrison, Jimmy Morrison, James Morrison, yeah, from The Doors. And yet later we have a character that looks decidedly like him, even though he's got shorter hair and everything, and he calls himself, how's this for a stage name, Chevy Chase. And these people bear striking resemblances to these previous people who, for one reason or another, disappeared. We're told they died. I mean, I'm not real good at name dropping here. I'm trying to think of his name. Don McLean. There we go. Name drop. He wrote the song American Pie, the day the music died. And that was, of course, about 3 other musicians who disappeared in a plane crash. Here's a look at the lyrics of some of that. Yeah, well, I'm not going to look at it right now. I'm going to read this comment by Humanities Enslaved by Maritime Admiralty Law. Underwriters Laboratory certificated. Underwriters Laboratory certificated the steel girders for airplane intrusion. An engineer at UL was fired when he questioned management about it. Yeah, it's all even. We know for a fact that the buildings were allegedly built to withstand a plane flying into it. We know for a fact that the Empire State Building survived a fire when an aeroplane crashed into it. We know that crashing an aeroplane into a steel-framed concrete building will not bring it down by fire, but it will bring it down by controlled demolition. Controlled opposition there. That'll bring anything down. Doug Pinnick shows a striking resemblance to Jimi Hendrix. I reckon Morgan Freeman does. But not only that, so does Nelson Mandela. It's almost like they were both cloned off the same dude, but just made slightly different dudes. Now, I don't like to go down the cloning path, but sometimes I do. Did you ever see that one rapper dude? I can't remember him now. It's a while back. He had like tattoos and stuff on both his arms. And he reckons he met his clone and he sat there talking to his clone with the same tattoos. Like, I don't know how they clone tattoos onto a clone, but I found that quite interesting. Clones, that really starts to mess with your head once you start getting into that. Well, it doesn't really. It's like, well, why not? I mean, if you were a public figure, say, like, for example, you were Osama bin Laden, or what was his name, that president of the United States again, married to that dude called Michael? Obama, that's him. Yeah, he had plenty of clones. Apparently there's like as many as 12 grew up in Indonesia. He was obviously just the one that was successful. I reckon he was actually cloned from Akhenaten, the ancient Egyptian mummy that they dug up. Cloned him and said, oh, well, who else would be better to rule the free world of the... Yeah, I won't say that out loud. We'll just say United States of America, the correct way. I might get a YouTube ban if I said that the other way. Who better than an ancient Egyptian mummy who... Now this is the fun bit. Who hasn't yet gone back in time to create ancient Egypt. See, this is what I love about time travel. Time travel is one of my favourite subjects because you can talk about the past as though it's in the past and as though it's in the future because you haven't gone back in time yet to do what you did in the past, to make what's going to happen in the future happen, to make sure that it's a great mind trip. I love it. I think time travel is my favourite subject. Let's assume, for example, you can travel in time and you go back to a time where you met your grandfather and, well, if you ever watch Futurama, that's a really good example of it. In Futurama, Stephen Fry, of course he has to be called Stephen. He goes back in time, and it turns out that his grandfather's more interested in looking at men pin-ups on the calendar, and he's like, no, don't look at that. Look at Grandma. And turns out, well, Granddad gets blown up in a nuclear test. So Stephen Fry ends up sleeping with Grandma, who at that stage wasn't Grandma. She was just an attractive young lady. Becomes his own grandfather. I guess that could work. But if, on the other hand, he went back and killed, or grandfather died and he didn't take the place of grandfather and created himself, then he would never existed to be able to go back and create himself. But he's created like the big paradox there for me. Damn it. I wasn't planning on that one. The biggest one is you go back in time, forget Stephen Fry, forget all of that. You go back in time, you accidentally kill your grandfather or your grandmother, and so you never exist. Therefore, you never exist in the future to be able to go back and do that. And therefore, you didn't do that, so therefore they existed, and therefore you don't get the opportunity. You do get the opportunity to go back in time and create a paradox. That's what I love about a paradox. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Somebody asked me another question. Damn it, I need a new topic to talk about. Don't make me search through my comments and something else I don't want to read. I might have to Google Doug Pinnick. That's what I'll do. I'll ask Google. Well, I won't ask it, but I will wonder if it happens to you. If I say, "Okay, Google," does that open anything up for you, or does it have to recognise your own voice? Doug Pinnick. I'm curious now. I've never heard of this Doug Pinnick before. Born September 3, 1950. No, he doesn't really, from what I can see so far. No, not even close. No, no, you have to be the full Nelson. Oh, he does play left-handed, I guess, but he's a bassist. They have to be the full Morgan Freeman, I reckon. You look at the Morgan Freeman, Jimi Hendrix connections. That's more closer. Doug sounds like Jimmy when he covers Jimmy songs. Yeah, but he's a bassist. I saw he only had 4 strings. I'd like to see Morgan Freeman play guitar. Then we'll know the truth. Does he play left-handed? How many movies have you seen Morgan Freeman in where he plays guitar? Seen plenty where he plays God, but none where he plays guitar. Space might be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. I could probably play. No, I can't even play bass right now. True. Yeah, getting a little bit off track. It's interesting how all the ballers just disappear. Every time I go live, they're quite happy to sit on their fan channels. What for? Oh, hey, Quade, how come all your moderators keep blocking me as well? Because Foy, or Quade as we call him, he told me in an email when he invited me back on as a guest the other day, he said that my mods will no longer time you out. So basically his mods are making a liar out of him. Freedom of speech in this day and age being controlled by fucking basement dwellers getting given a little brew ranch by channel operators saying, well, you can be a moderator. Moderator of what? Moderator of your own version of truth. Max Egan, he's not too bad. I don't mind him sometimes, but he's also like a lot of them. I actually have a bit more time for, to be honest. I'm not sure who Parks is, to be honest. But Max Egan, he's one of those ones where he's deleted comments I've made on his channel. It's a comment. A comment. Deleting it is putting your ego and your beliefs in front of the person and saying, my ego is bigger than your ego. It is better. It is more important. It is more correct. It is more truthful. And your opinion does not matter because freedom of speech is not a thing. Oh, no. You believe what I tell you or believe nothing at all, or I delete you and you don't exist in my world. That's all that censorship is all about. Now, I will admit I've deleted the odd comment off my channel simply because they're just rude, insignificant, nasty little shits. But I won't delete something just because I disagree with it. Our comedian I is still trying to get me to become a eater of the dead flesh of animals. Our comedian I, what is your problem, dude? Why would I want to eat a nice slab of dead cow's ass? Yeah, I could find a nice living sprouting mushroom that came out of it because it stayed alive out of its poop. And I could get more wisdom and knowledge out of that than I would out of taking a bite out of its fleshy ass. You know, to me, the whole concept of eating meat, I can understand it if we're all starving, you know, and the whole world's blackened out because all the giant trees are being cut down and the sun's blackened out because they've all been burnt and there's nothing else left to eat except for animals. Hence why we attracted dogs around to protect us because they like to chew on the bones that we can't eat. And we let the cats hang around too because of all the rodents that came and invaded our stores of grain and stuff. Apart from those evolutionary benefits, I can't see any benefit in eating the ass out of a cow. Eating a chunk of dead flesh. There's no benefit unless you're starving. We're doing okay. I'm not vegan, not at all. No, I'm on the fence. I just don't think we should be eating other mammals. We're mammals. When you go and kill another mammal, you're committing murder. When you eat it, you're committing cannibalism. I just don't see any favourable result from doing that sort of shit. Now, on the other hand, if you catch a fish and you can't hear it screaming, and you're quite happy to chop its head off as quickly as you can, sever its spinal cord very, very quickly, and you like to then cook and consume the flesh of that, I'm kind of okay with that, because it's not the same as killing a mammal who feeds its children through its breasts and has the same sort of consciousness as we have. Scaled animals, on the other hand, I don't believe have the same consciousness that we have. They're still conscious, no less, but I have no excuse for killing and eating them. There's no excuse. Apart from they're tasty, yes. Guilty as charged. Okay, well, crabs, on the other hand, they don't have scales, they're exoskeleton creatures. They're fucking tasty. But they're not cows. They're not apes. They're not goats. They're not other animals feeding their young off the breast. That's my point. Huge benefits to eating meat, especially oily fish. I'll agree with you on the oily fish, but then you say oily fish and beef in the same mouthful, mate. There's no comparison to, there's no such thing as oily beef. You got fattened cows, fattened calves, but oily fish, they are oily because they are growing in the temperature of the water, and the oils that they produce that make their whole lymph and blood system flow, the whole oxygen exchange exists because it works great in colder temperature. But mammals have to live at a certain temperature. It has to be above freezing for a start, preferably about 24 degrees. But these fish that can survive in the colder water temperatures do have some health benefits. I will grant you that. But it's got nothing to do with killing and eating something that was reared on the breast. Damn. A truly healthy older person on a vegetarian or vegan diet? I could show you many. Have you ever heard of, what was her name now? She was a Dr. Anne Wigmore. Dr. Anne Wigmore, in about her 70s, realised that as she was aging and dying from all this Western medicine sort of shit and eating dead flesh, that if you start eliminating all your dead flesh from your diet and start eating living foods like sprouted grains, drinking the sprouted stuff, her grey hair went back to its natural colour. She started anti-aging. I don't know what took her out at the end of days, but she's a good example. Dr. Anne Wigmore. Look her up. Professor Arnold Ehret is another one. I mean, all these people get blocked from true searches, but hey, that's just one that I can think of off the top of my head. So many Indian people as vegetarians have the body of jelly. Well, that might be so. I don't know. I didn't meet all these vegan Indians with bodies of jelly. But hey, I'm a virtually vegan person. If you would like to test the strength and hardness of my body, a little bit of, bring it on, dude. I'm happy to have a little bit of fisticuffs. I happen to understand the principles of using superfoods on top of a mostly vegan diet. A little bit of seafood, fish, chicken here and there from a scaled beast, scaled creature. Yep, it's a comfort food. There's no nutritional value in it whatsoever. Absolutely none. The oils, maybe, yeah, but you could probably milk them from an eel without having to kill the eel if you really wanted to. Don't know how. The point is, you do not need to kill a strong animal and eat its flesh to think that will make you a stronger animal. If you do, there's something wrong up here. Um, I'll go back and read these ones. Archimedean eye. Well, I don't eat all that much grain, to be honest. About the only grain I do eat is brown rice. Oh, okay, so there's chickpeas. I'll use them in a curry as well. And that's pretty much the grain I eat. If you sprout your grain and juice it, now you're talking superfood. The brain is made of saturated fat and cholesterol. The immune system is produced by cholesterol in bone marrow. Well, that's interesting that Humanities and Enslaved by Maritime Admiralty Law says this. I have a feeling you might be John Smith. I could be right, I could be wrong. The brain is made of saturated fat and cholesterol. But the thing is, if the brain is made of that, then what makes the brain? Does does being saturated fat make a brain? No. The human body and the consciousness keeps the brain alive, and maybe it has saturated fat in it, but that content doesn't prove that's what it's made out of. Maybe that saturated fat is actually what is stifling the brain from reaching a greater potential in the first place. That's always been my argument, is that they will say, for example, when you get an infection, the white blood cells are fighting the infection. What about if the body itself is fighting the white blood cells, and now that you've got a wound, it's found an outlet to get rid of this horrible mucousy pus, and on its way out, it creates an infection. And so somehow idiotic people will believe, well, white blood cells are fighting infection. No, the body is trying to get rid of the saturated fat. We are anything but saturated fat. And the less you have in your system, in your body, blood, brain system, then the less clogged up you are with this mucousy nonsense. I'm going to read the next comment now. Archimedean Eye says, so what is the downside of eating beef aside from you being scared of killing? Mate, I've grown up watching cows getting killed and gutting them and all the rest, It was no big deal to me, really. I'm not scared of killing. I just don't see the point of killing if there's no need to kill a living being when you'll actually get far more nutritional value from allowing it to eat the grass and shit all over the place and use that shit as nutrients to grow a vegetable garden. You will get far more benefit from a living cow than you will from a dead one, unless you're starving, in which case, well, you've got to do what you've got to do to survive. But in peaceful times and in abundant times when the sun is shining, let the cows live. Why kill the greatest source of nutrient input? My brain's just not working. I'm just going to read the next. Humanities enslaved by maritime admiralty law says grains, beans, seeds contain phytic acid, which block the absorption of vitamins soy pulls vitamins from the body. Well, mate, I agree with you 100%, but you know why they do that? The reason they do that is because they're full of enzyme inhibitors. And the way you overcome the enzyme inhibitors is to either freeze them for a day or two, a week or a season, whatever it takes, soak them in water, release the enzyme inhibitors, and sprout them. Once you sprout the grain, you are now going to be eating a living food exactly as it is designed for us to absorb the living energy from. Now, if you allow it to sprout for about 3 days and the first green leaves come out and soak up sunshine and all that chlorophyll, all that green goodness that absorbs all the heavy metal nutrients out of your body, you've solved all the problems that you were probably attempting to fight in the first place, because you were relying on a cow to eat it for you and digest it in its gut and turn it into something living so that you can then eat the dead flesh of a cow. No, it works far better if you just sprout the grain and eat it yourself. Or, if you can really be bothered, sit there and pluck the green tips off. You don't even need all the rest of the fibre and other junk that's going to pass through you and give you all sorts of other vitamins and minerals and enzymes and so forth. Yeah, live lighter. Oh, where's the word light come from? Sunlight, chlorophyll. Okay, so next question was, Archimedes and I, nature is absolutely full of death, decay and killing. Are you separate from nature, Ross, or part of nature? You were merely conditioned to be opposed to death and killing. Archimedes and I, no. Life comes from life. Death comes from death. I'm not separate from nature. I'm separate from the illusion of thinking that life can come from death. It doesn't. It comes from life. You're just transferring life from one system to another, and you're going on a downhill slide when you think that killing something and eating the flesh of it is going to give you life. If you, on the other hand, take the living sprout and put it into you as a living being, then life is going on an uphill spiral. Therefore, you become lighter and more alive, and more open to the informational channels around us. That is life. You want to eat death and be death, you're going on the downhill spiral. It's your choice. You're most welcome to do it, but I would recommend you didn't. Humanity enslaved. Sorry, I'm taking a while to catch up here. Humanity is enslaved by maritime admiralty law. I like that name every time I say it. Vegans have lower cholesterol than meat eaters. Well, cholesterol I don't think is either here nor there. I'm not even going to enter into that one, except to say I think any amount of blockage, which is what fats generally are, they're a blocker, they're a mucosoid, we are a living pipe system. We're a living pipe system running on air pressure. And the more blockages you've got in your pipe system, then the more blocked you are. Mental blockage is basically cholesterol, fat, disease, constipation, blockage. The more it free flows, the more it free flows. So Archimedes and I says, animal fat, milk fat, is what sustains babies from day one after birth, not vegan mush or sprouts. Well, that's true because it comes from the mother. And while a baby is a baby, nature does what nature does because you're a fucking baby and you don't have the strength to get around and go and kill cows and bite their asses off. I mean, come on, Archimedes and I. That's a non-argument. Let's have a look at animals that are born through another method. Like, let's have a look at a horse. Oh, a baby horse gets up and walks around the day it's born. A baby elephant gets up and walks around the day it's born. A baby human, yeah, well, the next 6 months you can't even support your own neck. Eat the milk fat from your mother's tits. You know, come on, mate. That's not an argument. The grass eaters are far stronger than the meat eaters when it comes to using that as an argument. Comedian I says, show many any society. You mean me, any society? I think you mean show me any society. In history, where vegetables were prized over meat, LOL, never happened. They used the entire animal and all its body parts and various nutrients. Well, yeah, they did, but they didn't have cold storage for a start. So they had to use it all pretty fast. The products from plants take a lot longer time to grow. So therefore, they didn't have the time to grow them. They didn't have the cold storage. Once again, they didn't have the transport. Once again. So if you want to look into our historical past where we didn't have the technology to grow food en masse, we didn't have the ability to store it, didn't have the ability to transport it, and we basically lived to about 40 years of age, living off the dead body parts of prematurely killed animals. Well, you've got a great point. Well done. Yeah, you got me there. That's all lived to be about 40. Oh, wait, I've been dead for the last 8 years now. Humanity is enslaved by maritime admiralty law. It says the nervous system is insulated by cholesterol. Myelin sheath. My vegan best friend died of Alzheimer's at 41. My vegan uncle died of MS in his 40s. Both are cholesterol deficiency diseases. Well, that's interesting because cholesterol deficiency diseases, how many people, you can just do this Google search right now, just Google search how many people die from heart disease. And you will find that it is the leading cause of death today in first world Western countries where we eat copious amounts of dead animals. So to try and insist that a cholesterol deficiency disease, I've never even heard of a cholesterol deficiency disease. Cholesterol deficiency? What do you call that? Not being fat enough? NM personal training, g'day. I'm just going to read through some of these other ones because it is the whole point of me being here was to read people's comments and put up with their crap. And our comedian I says, eating living foods is something vegans make up for us. That's not our comedian I. It's true. A living sprouted seed is alive. An unsprouted, boiled up seed is dead. So that's not a lie. It's not a made up thing. Just so they compare it to dead foods. Yeah, if you've got the living enzyme spark alive within it, it's a living food. That's why most living food people actually end up just living off the prana of air alone, because it's full of the living spark from sunlight. The bioavailability of nutrients, it's a secondary effect. Absolutely secondary effect. It's got nothing to do with, well, if you just want to believe, this is the same mentality that our comedian I is talking about. If you get glass, metal, plastic, rubber, all the things that your car's made of, grind it all up and chuck it into your car's fuel tank, Your car's not only going to run better and more efficiently, it's going to heal itself and run better the whole time, because where the fuck did that go? Bioavailability of nutrients. That's the mentality that you are talking about, comedian I. Death makes way and sustains life. No, that's not right, mate. This is true when we poop into a garden to sustain it, or when an animal feeds on another animal. We see this in nature everywhere. You're mixing up two completely different laws altogether. When you see an animal, or when we poop into a garden to sustain it, it's poop from a living thing into a living soil. That's completely different from slitting something's neck and eating its flesh. Completely different thing. How can you compare apples with rocks? You know, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Humanity's Enslavement Maritime Admiralty Law says in the 1930s, Western A. Pricks, DES/MD, tried to prove plant-based indigenous people existed. He admitted failure and found that tribes that ate more meat were healthier. Well, you're probably talking about tribes once again, aren't you? You're talking about people living quite primitive lifestyles, and where the meat they ate was fresh. It wasn't slaughtered weeks ago in a slaughterhouse. It wasn't bled to death, the blood all drained out, and you're eating a slab of its dead flesh. If you're talking about a tribe, they are eating as close as they can possibly get to a living thing, as close to the source as possible. Apart from that, you've got no argument. Let's go back to the 1930s, hey, and let's just believe, well, that's going to be the absolute epitome of modern human knowledge. So 2019, I think we've come a little bit further since then. Humanity's Law and Slave on Maritime Admiralty Law says, I'm getting better at saying that every time. Plant oil causes cancer, heart disease, stroke. Those are unheard of before. Plant diets and oils. Get fucked, mate. No, look, I gave you the benefit of the doubt before, but now you're turning into a dickhead. An absolute dickhead. Heart disease is caused by eating too much dead animals. Simple as that. I think you're talking about margarine, which is, what's that? That I can't even think of the word, hydrogenated fat. Yeah, I'm just going to skim past that one. Let's go to Archimedes and I. There's never been a study that proves eating dead animals is bad for you, Ross. There has. There really has, mate. These studies intermingle all other kinds of crap, grains, alcohol, sugar, and other crap. Show me one controlled study. How about Professor Arnold Ehret, who proved like over 100 years ago that people dying of incurable diseases, as expressed by the mainstream indoctrination system, he was able to bring them back by fasting. I kid you not, Professor Arnold Ehret. And then, after the fasting, how did you bring them back again? With living foods, such as eating a bowl of cherries or something of a live nature, not the flesh of a dead animal, mate. Humanities Enslaved by Maritime Admiralty Law, Western A. Price. Okay. You sound brainwashed by lefty vegan culture. Typical view Byron Bay types up there, mate. No, I'm not brainwashed at all, mate. I moved up here into the Byron Bay region simply because at least I didn't feel like a complete social outcast as I did down in Hawk's Nest near Newcastle, full of all these fucking brainwashed meat-eating types who, when I go back for a visit and look at my old schoolmates, they're all fat, bloated. Some of them are even dead already. 50 years old. My brother's best mate, dead. Meat-eating types. I moved up here because, yeah, at least I can get away from that mentality. And so a lot of other people gravitated towards this area as well because we realized that this is the spiritual, the place of spiritual enlightenment, the easternmost point of the Australian mainland, and that being the lighthouse of the world, we are shedding a light on the world. That's what enlightenment is all about. You want to find enlightenment in eating dead animals, then I suggest you go back to Victoria, where, you know, unfortunately, there is a lot of dead animal eaters still in this area. We're not fighting a winning battle. We're being shut down in many areas. Just down the road from me where I live, there's a pig slaughterhouse. Now, several times a day while I'm working, I will see a pig truck, 2-story, full of pigs, screaming, full of fear and pain, screaming on their way to the slaughterhouse. And then, for the next 5 minutes, I have to stand there and endure the stench, the fucking stench of these animals on their way to the slaughterhouse. But if a truck full of cherries or avocados or fucking spinach drives past, do I get that same stench? Do I get that same sound of fear? You've got to be kidding me that absorbing that shit into your physical body is good for you. The sound, the smell, everything about it is so fucking wrong. Constantly, fucking every day wrong. But so long as you just shut your eyes and ears and your nose and just, bacon. I love my bacon. Give me more cholesterol. Clog up my brain. Clog up my veins. Give me heart disease. I'm a fucking lefty vegan. Simply because I have the intelligence to know better, not clog up my body with all this bullshit, to not fill my temple with these bad vibrations. And when I see them go by and hear them and smell them, I know they are that bad vibrations, and I refuse to accept them into my body. I refuse to pay people to do it on my behalf, and I refuse to eat it and become it. I'm a lefty fucking vegan. Yeah, rightio. Gotcha. Thanks for coming. See you. Bye. Cool. You know what's in here? It's fermented sugar. The fermented sugar comes from the creatures that make it, the bees, nature, Mother Nature. Sugar is not the enemy. Sugar is our fuel. That is why fruits are sweet. We don't like to eat a fruit if it isn't sweet. Why not? Because we are biologically designed to like something that tastes sweet. It's as simple as that. Now, fair enough, you grow fucking sugar cane in massive fields and produce sugar out of that. Yeah, of course that's going to be a toxic thing. but the sugar you find in natural fruits and vegetables and fermented products such as I make from bees, the stuff they gather, the nectar that they gather, you won't find disease. There's no disease in it because there's nothing dis or not at ease. Everything's at ease in nature. When you kill, you create dis-ease. Those animals don't want to be killed. Nothing gets killed when you pluck a fruit from a tree. The tree says, thank you, take my gift, spread my seed. You're creating abundance in a world that only wants to create abundance. When you kill an animal, you are creating disease, and you are deliberately buying disease and putting it in your body. So, yep. Maybe I'll become totally vegan eventually. Wingnut, you've got a new person. Oh, we got Matt. So I haven't been looking at the chats for a little bit. I've got a Matt DWMC. Ross. Me and my missus think you're a legend. Can you please do a shout out and send your love to Jojo? Yes, Matt. Big love to you, Jojo. All my love to our good people. Absolutely. Sorry I didn't say that sooner. I was just sitting here going off on a bit of a tangent. That's understandable, actually, says our comedian I would perhaps feel more at home with more free-thinking people than here in Melbourne, which is hell at times. I'm sure it is. It's down in Melbourne. Can you explain how you come to have your beliefs on the moon? Explain tides, says Matt. Yeah, I'd like to try to explain that if I can. I came to have my beliefs on the moon and tides basically by going out and looking at the moon and the tides. You know, sometimes you go and look at the moon and you say, well, why is the tide coming in while the moon is also approaching? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. So it takes a long time to put 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 together. You know, you have to, when you believe that the moon is pulling the tides, you believe what you're told. But when you see the tides coming in front of the moon, you just go, why does that not comport with reality? I just forget about it, and I'll go back into the classroom or to my textbook or whatever and just believe what I'm told by people who've already studied this stuff and they know this stuff, but they don't know shit. All they're doing is they're projecting hypotheses the whole time, and they're saying, well, if the theory of mass attraction is a thing, then therefore we should all believe it. Hey, mate, I'm still explaining it, dude. I haven't even got there yet. But yeah, cheers, mate. Not a problem. I'll shout out to anybody that needs a shout out. I don't know why you need a shout out, but shout out to you, Matt, DWMC, and Jojo. So, as far as I can see it, the moon, it's a real physical object. And as it travels around above the flat planet Earth, what keeps it aloft is some sort of electromagnetic effect coming up off the saltwater oceans. And as such, it's pushing down upon it is actually pushing the tides in front of it. It takes 24 hours and 15 minutes to make a single rotation around above us. There's your tides. It's pushing it in front, pulling it behind. Why we get 2? Yeah, still a mystery to me as well. I don't believe the sun is doing the same sort of thing at all. The sun is completely different. It's a light So I'll agree with that, Archimedes and I, before I scroll up and read through the other ones where you say the most diseased people on earth are addicted to grain and sugar. Yeah, because the reason they're addicted to it is because anything that is toxic and poisonous, such as dead stuff, is addictive. And once your body learns to react to something that's learnt to react to, like a toxic drug, for example, if you stop introducing that drug, then the body starts to think, what's going wrong? Where is this thing I'm so used to reacting towards that I have to deal with? I have this major, major need to deal with this toxic substance because it excites some part of the body so much that once it stops getting that excitement, it gets withdrawal symptoms. And as it's starting to recover from this and starts to heal itself, it's getting better, it's going through withdrawal symptoms, it suffers, it feels the loss. It says, but I'm so used to dealing with this toxic substance. I need this toxic substance, otherwise I've got no purpose. Therefore, it might take you some months in rehabilitation to get over it. And that applies to everything you are eating, including dead animals, including the animal fats, including all these things that you are so used to toxifying your body with that all of a sudden, when your body's not getting it anymore, it doesn't know what to do with itself because you've trained it so well to deal with getting smashed by these toxins. Okay, we'll scroll up because I missed quite a few here. No, not that many. No evidence of heart disease on a pure carnivore diet whatsoever. Yeah, that's probably because carnivores don't live for very long. What's the average lifespan of a cat or a dog? You think a human should live 12, 14, 20 years? You really think that's a desired result? Wingnut says, yeah, I have to laugh at this one. I'm imagining how this guy was before he went off the rails. When I went off the rails, mate, I nearly broke my leg. Fuck that. So don't talk to me about going off the rails. But anyway, Wingnut, thanks for your input. I'm glad you dropped by, and see you later. Bye. Archimedes, I say sugar's enemy. That was the one I addressed. The most diseased people on earth are addicted to grain and sugar. That's also the one I addressed. Show me one pure carnivore that is not a picture of health, or all the dead ones, kind of like dead, mate. Show me your 30-year-old dog or cat. If Earth is flat, says Michael, how does that help your current situation? It helps it incrementally by the fact that I'm not believing in a load of bullshit indoctrinated into my mind by a bunch of heliocentrists who believe we live on a spinning rock hurtling through space at millions of miles an hour, when everything is flat, stationary, still, as we observe. So if having some amount of sanity in an insane world is not a helpful thing, then I guess I can reverse the question to you, wherever it went. Mike Hawk, better than Mike Cock, I guess. How does that help my current situation? because sanity is about all we have left when we're given an insane situation. Can you prove to me that the ground beneath my feet is currently moving 1.35 times the speed of sound? Can you prove that this whole entire ball, as it's spinning 1.35 times the speed of sound, is moving 66,600 miles an hour around the sun? So, for me to believe the Earth is flat, to you, is insanity. Yet your beliefs, that's all they are. You've got no proof, you've got no evidence, but your beliefs are somehow more sane than looking out and saying, it appears flat and still to me. Who's the insane one again? My cork. Your cork is popped, mate. And because we're here in the outer hemisphere and it's winter time, I'll put my Ugg boots back on and have some green ginger wine. Anybody want to have a Stones back with me? Cheers. Archimedean, are you still going on about meat toxic to the body? Come on, dude. Get a grip. You know, life comes from life. Death comes from death. If you're starving, by all means, go out and eat the arse end out of a cow, knock yourself out, dude. But hey, don't sit there and try and tell me that it's raining while you're pissing in your pocket. Yes, beef is toxic and poison. Matt DWMC says again, would you please give a rundown on your thoughts on Apollo missions? Did you watch the landing live as a little one? Nah, I was like still just a little sparkly thing inside my daddy's eye at the time. Wasn't born until 71, so I kind of missed it. But Apollo missions, as I've said, if you look in the description of this live stream right now, you will see a link to something on Facebook that I shared. I assume I shared it directly to the source where it came from. It's a Stanley Kubrick complete 100% debunk of the Apollo moon missions. You know what they call them now? Now they're Saturn moon missions. We're going to ride Saturn to the very names. Did you know that Saturn also equates to being Satan, and Apollo also equates to being Lucifer? And then once you understand those things, you would sort of realize, oh, that's why they called them after that. Tell you what, let's go watch The Shining. Mushrooms Man comes back. Cool. Oh, hang on. Archimedes and I did make another comment for it. I'll give him benefit of the doubt. So if a cat adopted a vegan diet, they would live for 40 years. Lol, Byron by logic. Well, actually, somebody used to breed quite a lot of cats and sell quite a few as a living. I know that cats are obligate omnivores. That's a different thing from being a herbivore with, I don't know how many, 18-meter digestive system. Could be wrong there. Cats have a very short digestive system. They eat things like mice, and maybe even if they're lucky, not many of them actually fish because cats don't really like water much. So, yeah, let's not talk about cats and compare them to humans. Do you see me have cat's claws? Do you see me have cat teeth? even my whiskers aren't exactly cat-like. So to compare a human being to a cat and say that there should be some sort of resemblance when humans have been living for a good 80 years or more. In fact, my grandmother, who died just a couple of years back, was 102. You want to compare that to a cat that lives to about 20 and say that eating meat therefore extends your lifespan. Comedian I, see your foot, stop shooting yourself in it. Every time you do, you sound stupider and stupider. So now I'll go back to mushrooms, man. Hey, just wondering if you've seen the movie Eyes Wide Shut. Of course, I've seen that one, dude. Have you seen my Facebook? I do go by my real name on Facebook still, Ross Thatcher. Not afraid to tell people my real name, Ross Thatcher, the only one that lives in Clunes here in northern New South Wales, Australia. You'll see a link to. Oh, hang on, not Eyes Wide Shut. No, sorry, my bad. I was thinking of They Live. My bad. Oh, Eyes Wide Shut. I did see that some years back. I think I got a little bit distracted by all the boobs. Yeah, what happened after the whole boob thing, man? Our comedian and I are still carrying on like a cow. We're not equipped to digest and ferment the vegetable matter like a cow. Well, I agree with you. That's why we don't eat grass like a cow. You idiot. You fucking moron. Of course not. We're not cows. Why do you keep comparing yourself to a cow? When you're a human being, the human being sprouts the grains, gets the living goodness out of it, digests that out of it, and hardly poops out anything. Poor cow needs like 4 stomachs to eat grass. Do you see us eating grass? But you compare us to a cow. The intelligence of a meat eater. Well, we are not like cows, but if we eat cows, we will become intelligent like cows and we can talk as intelligent as people who eat cows. Archimedean I. Welcome to my channel. Fucking moron. I should have quit Facebook ages ago. I actually did quit Facebook ages ago, except I kept going back just for the Asian women. Kind of like that. So Matt asks, lastly, please give your thoughts on cannabis and a brief history of your use, if any, of all drugs. Well, mate, I believe cannabis is the greatest plant in existence. And by my way of proving that is I'll drink some green ginger wine. Because it was in my hand and I was thirsty. Cannabis is the number one plant that will solve all our problems. We've known it for a very, very long time. We know that we get our best medicine from it. If we need pain-killing medicine, we get it from cannabis. If we need to build pyramids, you know how we do that? We take the hemp herd, the inner part of the stem, mix it with lime and local rock dust, and set it in a great big brick cast mold, and we'll create a brick. And if you do it out in the desert, you'll create very, very big ones, which will set because there's no rain raining down on them. So there's nothing we cannot do without cannabis. We can build the pyramids, we can build all the greatest buildings of the past. I think you should have to look into my last I think I did a live stream yesterday, didn't I, when I talked about cannabis and how fucking great it is, how amazing it is, how brilliant it is, how everything before it got banned by a bunch of fuckwits sitting around in a big fucking Oval Office or whatever it was they did where they fucking banned it. Even a lot of globe heads understand how important cannabis is. So, I might when I talk about my use of drugs personally, I've used virtually very little. I smoked a lot of pot back in my day. Yeah, smoking it, not so bad, but yeah, it wears off pretty quickly. Once you learn how to make it into edibles or tinctures, works a lot better. And eventually you reach a stage in your life where your kids come home from school and say, "Hey, Dad, today there was someone from the government at school talking about what our parents smoke." And I said, "Oh, yeah. And what happened?" And they said, "Oh, well, yeah, Mummy smokes cigarettes." It's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, we know Mummy smokes cigarettes." "Oh, yeah, but Daddy smokes through a bottle." I'm like, "Oh, fuck. The kids notice I smoke through a bottle?" "Oh, yeah, I guess I haven't been trying to hide it from them. I wasn't that kind of parent. I just did what you do, comes naturally, and just thought they wouldn't pay too much of attention if I didn't try and hide it from them. And next thing you know, they come home telling me they just told government shills, Daddy smokes through a bottle." So I was like, "Oh, maybe I should stop doing that." And as a result of stopping doing that, this is what I succumbed to. So I was a much better parent. I had a great business. I was doing great in life until I decided I should do the right thing and stop just, smoking small amounts of cannabis as felt right to me at the time. And yeah, my life's been a continual downward spiral ever since, and I blame nobody except myself for not standing up for my right to smoke fucking cannabis. I gave in because I wanted to set a good example for my children. Yeah, story of my fucking life. So not only did I lose my brilliant business, it was a fucking brilliant business. I mean, he was the fantastic Mr. Fox right under their noses. I was breeding fish, puppies, kittens, birds, guinea pigs, rabbits. I've run out of fingers. Rabbits. Whatever I could breed, just under the nose of the government. They didn't know they existed. I could just go and sell them for profit. And even if I didn't make profit off each one, like sometimes I'd go and buy a bunch of rabbits off a rabbit breeder up the coast, bring them down, and sure enough, I'd pay $10 each, sold them for $30 each, but sometimes they grew a bit big before I made money out of them. But I'd still make money out of food, rabbit hutch, water bottle, food, food, food. Rabbits like to eat. Did I tell you how much rabbits like to eat? Every week they like to eat about $10 worth of food. So that first $10 investment I made on rabbit, the customer would keep coming back and buying $10 worth of food, which I'd pay about for $5 minus GST for. So it was a good, profitable business. And breeding fish, each fish that was a mouth brooder, African cichlids were the best ones. Everybody loves African cichlids. You could get 30 babies out of each and every one of them. Maybe more, maybe 40. Each and every one of those babies would sell for $10. Never existed in my books. But all of this money that went through my till was just all written off then as, say, electrical expenses, water expenses, wages, fish deaths. It was a great business. I knew what I was doing. I was fucking good at it. So, hey, anybody that wants to think of me as a stupid flat earther simply because I know how to fucking buck the system, I'm still here bucking the system in my own way, in a flat earth way, and giving you people a few clues as to how I did it along the way. Lastly, please give your thoughts on cannabis. Oh, that was the one I was doing. I was still talking about cannabis and a brief history of your use, if any, of all drugs. Well, that was my brief history of my use of drugs. Tell you what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'll make your eyes all shut, just like that. That was close. Where did it go? There. All right. You can open your eyes again now. It's just a little jar. Nothing, no big deal. This is my use of cannabis. I soak the buds in vodka and I drink the vodka. Hey, do I look like I'm on drugs by doing this? Do I look like a desperate, whatever you think a drug user looks like? Fuck, that actually worked. I think I got high up that. I might do that more often. Let's try the other nostril. Oh, no, making me crazy and psychotic. Yeah, that's good. That's medicine. That's my way of doing drugs. No needles through the veins. No smoking of the herb. Shit. Oh, it's kicking in nicely already. It is just the ethanol extraction of the medicinal properties of a plant and fucking up your liver with ethanol. But that's the thing. You can fuck up your liver with ethanol if you, say, drink vodka all the time. I just took a tiny little sip, and the rest of the time I'm just fucking it up by drinking beer. So, I mean, some people are drug addicts, and I do feel sorry for them, and I feel they need some help. My use of drugs has always been medicinal, helpful, intelligent, and efficient at assisting me coping with the problems of the world with which we're presented. And if that makes me a druggo, a drug addict, or somebody that you want to look down upon, then get up there on your high shelf, look down on me, and feel good about yourself. I'm fucking happy for you. I don't smoke weed these days at all. Every now and then, I might go to a party and people have got a joint, and I said, "Oh, do you have any tobacco in it?" And they go, "Yeah." What the fuck? People are always putting tobacco into the fucking beautiful green herb. And so, no, I'm not interested. Sometimes I was like, oh, yeah, I feel like getting a little bit high, so I do it. Oh, you got fucking tobacco in it. Why? Why do they mess up beautiful green herb with tobacco? I know why they do it. It's because it makes it go further. I got a double doodle-oo. Nah. Triple? Come on. What the fuck? I didn't even... I don't smoke weed. I ingest it through tincture, and I will tell you what, that little nip I just took will be the equivalent of like smoking an entire joint, and it will last for the next 8 hours. So why would anybody smoke it? Smoking is such a waste. Up in smoke. Um, it's almost like, oh, I know, it's actually more than like 2 hours, 46 minutes. Damn. I don't smoke bongs, mate. I don't need to. I'll tell you what did happen to me a while back, some years ago, after uh, my pet store business started going a little bit. It was going great, but my relationship with the woman who I started it with, she started going a lot, started going not so great. You know, I don't want to put shit on her. We've been through a lot of shit. So I don't need to put shit on her. But the fact is, the business started going um, great. So well, in fact, that she thought she could run it without me. So I thought, oh, well, do your best. And I let her. I just let her have it. I basically let her have it. I took a bit of a payout, a little bit, lost it all in the end. In fact, lost everything in the end. That's why I'm, yeah, where I am now. Because, you know, I'm very generous to the people that I once loved. And she thought she could run it on her own. And I let her borrow a lot of money against both the business and the house I tried to retain after we split up. And in a short while, she decided to sell it. Good for her. Don't know where I'm going with this. What the fuck was the question again? Well, the thing is, yeah, I don't smoke anymore. That's why I'm having another sip of tincture. A little sip of this is the equivalent to like um, what I'm going to take right now. Okay, so one of those would be like a couple of cones, a couple of bongs. Two of those would be like a couple more, but it takes a little while to kick in. So before I get too entirely stoned. Cool. It's good. Thanks, Matt. DWMC. 9/11 breakdown next, please, mate. Well, you should have been here earlier. I thoroughly broke down 9/11. Had one of these blokes used to come into my pet store, and he would uh, trade quail because he had quail and he'd breed quail, And so each one of these beautiful little perfectly living creatures, a quail, that I'd sell for like $4. I know, right? Ridiculous. He would trade each of them for a pig's ear. A pig's ear, a dried out, stagnant, stinky pig's ear, because his dogs love to eat a pig's ear. I used to sell for about $2.80, I think, back then. Pig's ears. Dogs love them. They're dogs. Pigs, on the other hand, actually prefer to have them stuck to the head. But because the pig industry is so big, it's a massive industry. Something I was talking about earlier when I talked about all those pig trucks driving past with the stench and the stink. 100 pigs off on their way to slaughter. That's 200 ears. You multiply that by $2.50 or $2.80 times 2 per pig's ear. It's big profit. The pet industry is a massive profit business. I was involved with it at one stage. So when you ask, does ethanol extraction of the work? I don't quite understand that because it doesn't make sense. Thought you needed fats like butter to break down. There's various methods of absorption when it comes to THC. It is an oil-based thing, but ethanol breaks down the oil barrier somehow. I don't know why or how. I just know that's how it works. So yeah, you can absorb those oils into your butter, but if you do it with ethanol, it's far more efficient because ethanol is kind of like that word you just can't get off the tip of your tongue, but when you go, if I get that word on the tip of my tongue, it will work. That's ethanol. You heard it straight out of the horse's mouth. I'm just having a laugh, man. So there's still 2 whole lookers. I mean, viewers. Jeez, man. I'm getting fucking sloshed here. I knew that was empty even before I even tried to drink it. You know what I will do is I'll look at the time. It's 4:44. Can you believe that? On the 4th. It's 4:44 p.m. on the 4th of the 7th, 2019. That's like 4 fours all at once. When you line them up like that, you know what you should do? Me either. I know. I'll put the little flicky card thing back over here because fuck me dead. That's like 3 hours without a single piss. So I'll go and have a piss and I'll come back and then I'll answer that question. Does ethanol extraction of the work? That's not even a question, dude. Come on. Does ethanol extraction of the work? I'm definitely going to go and have a piss. Thought you needed facts like butter to break it down. Yep. I will come back because, hey, I'm enjoying this. just life. It's just good times, talking about good stuff. I will be back. All right. We all need a break every now and then. Bands or Bandit. Dude, you're back again too. Matt DWMC, dude. I'm enjoying this thoroughly too, mate. That was said a little while back. There's no extraction of the word. Thought you needed facts like butter to break down. No, the facts actually, they don't break down it. They hang on to it. This table's a little bit shaky. So, thoughts on Nathan Oakley? I try not to talk down upon other people. I think Nathan Oakley, well, Dance or Bandit, you're the man, Aussie Jesus. Nah, come on. I'm not. I'm just a dude. I'm just a fucking Australian dude who makes beer. Oh, for fuck's sakes. I nearly lost them. Fuck, that was close. Ah, shit. Some fell into my pants. My pantaloons. I hate losing. Okay. I'm not the dude. I'm not a cow's dick. Come on. Fuck's sake. Dude with a big spot on his pantaloons. Okay, me tracky that. Terry Davies. Davies. Sorry. How you going, mate? All I am is just some Aussie guy who got born with a little bit of intelligence that knows how to see through the lies of the things that people are telling us. I don't think I'm exceptionally special because of it. Nathan Oakley, don't like to drop names or put shit on somebody's name. He's doing his thing. He's doing the best he can, I guess. And good luck to him. I actually usually refer to him as Nathan Chokley, simply because that's just what comes naturally out of my mouth. Terry from Discord Aussie Perspective. Yeah, I haven't been in the Discord for a while. I went off a bit. Uh, I went off a bit. I went a bit off Discord in general because it's just full of globe heads, generally speaking. But hey, Aussie Perspective, hey, I'll come back and have another look. Cheers, mate. Thanks for joining me. Oh, Major Flat D. Shit, I didn't even see that was you. Nice. Yeah, I should stop being so romantic. Major Flat D and I are just friends. I love you, dear. I think you're cool. Simply because you're female. Yeah, I'm like that. I'm male. I'm bigoted. I'm stupid. I see a woman and I go, I'm stupid like that. So shoot me. I think women are fucking awesome. I love them, and I will not be persecuted because I think they're beautiful. So shoot me, doubly. Terry from Discord as well. Yeah, I think I've been into that Discord. I'll come back. Don't worry. All good. Enjoy the frothy. I can put more froth into it. Like this is what you do when you're in Australia and you make your own home brew. You know when to stop because otherwise you get another wet spot on your trousers. I won't say it's the best one I've ever made, but I'll say it's the best one I've ever tasted today. Therefore, winning. Only an Aussie would understand it, eh? Aussie Perspective from Bandsaw Bandit. As I said, onto it, into it, loving it. The other day when I was down at Byron Bay, capturing some images of the beach and the horizon and Julian Rocks, I captured quite a few videos of. It's like I need these to see, but anyway, I captured quite a few videos of the reality of the realm upon which we live. And so, of course, people are going to interpret it a certain way. They're going to say, well, when we see Julian Rocks appearing above the horizon, we're going to assume that's where the horizon starts curving away. Yet when you go a little bit higher and take another image and show that it's not curving away, it's just an imitation of your perspective. Yeah, it creates all this angst. I don't need angst. I just need beers. Matt, I'm going to read yours because You asked some really cool questions, and I'm happy to answer cool questions. I think Jose Gonzalez channels is good. What about all the non-sequitur drama then? I agree. What about all the non-sequitur drama? I'll tell you what about all the non-sequitur drama. Put it into a little helium balloon and send it to the loft. No more drama. The non-sequitur shit show was being a shit show for a long time. And if you would notice, I was the one calling it the shit show. And now all these other people who are opposed to it are calling it the shit show, but they're still blocking me from their channel. Can you believe that? Like, fucking wankers. Wankers. I called it the shit show way back. Now other people are calling it the shit show and still blocking me. I will take that as a little one on my chalkboard. Fucking shit show. Fucking dickheads. G'day, John Stock. How you doing? Matt asks, explain the day/feeling that you realise the Earth is flat. It was weird. It was weird. When my father-in-law, a merchant sea captain from Sweden, spent his whole life at sea, told me he believed the Earth is flat after he'd retired, mind you. He didn't say it while he was still an active sea merchant, sea captain, whatever you call it. He was no longer active, so he's retired, so he can say as he likes because his livelihood no longer depends upon it. He told me, I think the Earth is flat, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, you dumb? No, there's no way the Earth is flat. That's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And he says, well, look at the Suez Canal. You've got 100 miles from one end to the next, no amount of curvature, it's all flat and level. And I was like, yeah, but my cognitive dissonance, it hurts. My brain hurts. Turns out he was bloody well right. This senile old dude from Sweden all along knew that the Earth was flat. And I was the one suffering cognitive dissonance. And all I could think about is, well, where's all the water going? It's not going anywhere. It's actually contained because it's flat and fucking level. I will have a beer. I have a beer every time I think about it because it does hurt at first to realize that everything you've been told your entire life is a fucking lie. But when you look at beer level, is it flat? What is holding in the oceans? What holds in the oceans? Gravity. Yeah, we got lots and lots of gravity. We just got to go out and make that fucking shit up. Gravity. It's rotating at 1,000 miles an hour, 66,000 at some other point, 1.666.666 another point. Damn, I got balance. Bandsaw bandit. Nah, mate. It's just spinning at 1,040 miles per hour, but it's also hurtling through the atmosphere at 66,600 miles per hour as the sun is hurtling through the galaxy at 514,000 miles per hour. damn, I thought you knew that. It should be so common sense. Like, every time I spin a ball on a string at 1,040 miles per hour, that makes the ball stick to the center of gravity. Oh, wait, no, the other thing. That's actually funner with you guys coming and talking here, really. I don't have to type. So, wait, the rig, I don't know who you are, but I assume you're pretty big, solid. You got him. What did you got? Or did I get him? That, it's a bit tricky, it's a bit misunderstood what you're actually saying. I like Matt coming along and asking questions. Yes, I did call this an open question source, and he says, what would your last meal be? Last ever meal be? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's 3 meals. 2 drinks, 1 alcoholic, 1 not. Like a death row situation. So, assuming I was put on a death row situation, you know what I would do? I would just say, fuck you. I would actually do that. I would say, nope, I am not having a last meal. I'm not having a last drink. And in fact, I'm going to stop breathing. That's the sort of thing I would probably do. Because fuck them. Nobody tells me what to do. That's all that shit. It's all that shit designed to fuck with you, to just make you submit to their fucking standards. And I refuse to do that. Last time I checked, the surf was up. It's a high I think I've actually got a whole heap of things that kind of saved in the camera and shit. Getting wet, bloody shit and everything. Anyway, I'm just going to ignore the phone. The other day when I went down to the beach and took a whole heap of videos of the ocean, is how does the sunrise and sunset work on the flat Earth? My observation of sunrise proves around Earth. Oh, Terry Davies, cool. It's great that somebody comes along and asks an innocent young child's question just like that. It's called convergence, mate. Anytime you look out towards the ocean, you will see the water appearing to rise to eye level. Doesn't matter how high you go or how low you go, it will appear to rise to that eye level. It's called a convergence point. It works exactly as you see. The sun appears to set because it's obscured in the distance or on the other side. It's really quite simple because we are like tiny little insignificant things living on the surface. But the sun is way the fuck up there the whole time. So one's further away and it's hidden by convergence, or one's further over there and hidden by convergence. Sunrise, sunset. Tiny little insignificant people on the surface, wondering why we aren't intelligent enough to understand this shit. It is so simple, mate. The rig is here. Can you please explain the two celestial points in the sky, North and South Pole? I can explain you. We've got a North Pole. Absolutely. We see all the stars go around the North Celestial Pole. We don't see that around the Southern Pole. That's the latest shite. What we see is we turn around and look the other way, and we see the stars going the same way they're always going. But you convince yourself they're going backwards. Yeah. I know what we'll do. Let's sit in Photoshop all day long and make false images of another celestial pole so we can feel good about ourselves, because we really, really, really want to believe we live on a spinning ball in outer space. Yep. Cool. This is awesome that there's more questions. Can you please explain the two celestial poles? Okay, or points. Terry Davies asks, explain what convergence thing. Well, convergence thing, mate, is everything converges towards the center. You can just look into the corner of your room and you'll see the floor appearing to rise up. You'll see the ceiling appear to sink down. Where they converge, usually about 3 miles, that's your convergence thing. Bandsaw Bandit says, if the biggest vacuum chamber in the world is 122 feet tall, then how do they prove acceleration of a free-falling object with no air resistance? They can only fall. Do you even use spell check? They can only fall for 2.5 seconds. Not very thorough. I'll assume you mean thorough. So if the biggest vacuum chamber in the world is 122 feet tall, then how do they prove acceleration of a free-falling object with no air resistance when they can only fall for 2.5 seconds? Is it 122 feet tall? That's the first thing you have to ask yourself. Is it 122 feet tall? And if so, then why do they say it's 8.9 meters per second? In 2.5 seconds, you've just sort of just said, oh, fuck gravity, we'll just make up whatever the fuck we want. Come on, dude. I will answer sensible questions, but you need to at least ask one. Explain the southern pole. And the southern pole, you mean like that ceremonial pole that they just stick in the ice and declare it's a ceremonial pole? Come on, the rig. I thought you might have at least had half a brain in that tiny little cranium up there. Matt, the DWMC asks, have you seen Beyond Curve documentary? Yes, mate, I have seen that. And I've explained all the problems that happened with that one. And there's only really 2 problems. One of them being they bring up the ring laser. What do they call it again? Ring laser. You know the thing I'm talking about. And all they're showing is stars doing what stars do. The other one was Jaron, who showed how when you view in the distance through a particular height, that particular height suffers distance diminution. And if you don't take that into account, that diminution effect, then the next one at a different height will appear higher because the distance from you to the first one hasn't been taken into account. So yeah, I've explained both of those ones, no problems. At the rig, you need to feel good by saying it's BS because you will not apply yourself to understand your reality. Mate, I've just understood it. I've explained it. I can explain it all. I don't need to feel good about myself. But you can feel bad about me all day. You know, I could go and cry in the corner as much as you want me to. This is the problem with people like yourselves, is that you feel some sort of need to put me down when because I am explaining your ignorance, your idiocy, and showing it to you over and over. And because I do that, you hate to be shown that you're wrong. That's the trouble with globe heads in general. Okay, so Matt asks a sensible question. Matt, BWMC, can you help explain gravity to a 5-year-old child without any preconceived ideas? How would you teach the next generation? How would I teach it? It's quite simply by saying that if you have a thing of mass, it will drop through a thing without resistance. That's what a thing of mass does. If you leave it sitting on a place of resistance, such as the ground, something that gives it buoyancy, something that resists it, it stays there. When you apply a force and lift it up, you have done the first law of Newton's thing, which says a thing that is at rest will stay at rest until enacted upon by another force. If you just leave it there, it stays there. You apply another force. Does the air give it resistant force? No. So it drops. It is so fucking simple. I can't believe that people even ask these questions. A 5-year-old child should be able to understand. Is there a resistant force of the air? No. It drops. When it hits the ground, is there a resistant force of the ground? Yes. It stops moving. Oh, the rig has come back and asked another question. Oh, hang on. Oh, I might have missed a couple here. Some of these people were really getting into their typing shit. The rig. What the fuck does your name mean? The rig. What are you? A truck? Oh, yep. The one over your head. Where were we? Oh, there it is. That's the one I just read. Yes, Matt, I just did explain gravity to a 5-year-old child without any preconceived ideas. So let's see. Bandsaw Bandit says it is 122 feet tall. Fact check. Yeah, don't understand that. What you're talking about there, mate. Maybe put it into English. If you had a blackboard, it would help your demonstration. So I do have a whiteboard, but you know, I don't have to use a fucking pen and shit. Major flat D. At least we see somebody that's a decent human being. Much love, everyone. Good night, heart. Sweet dreams. See and stuff. That's what I like to see, you know. There are some decent human being people in the world who just talk nicely to one another. They don't need to be constantly contesting. So major flat D, thank you. At the rig, they always get a bit excited. I'm going to show this on the rig, I can't. Or I'm huge. Yeah, being big makes you more. What does it make again? More of a fat cunt, or just um, doesn't make you more relevant just because you're big. But I'm actually looking forward to some big cunt wanting to take me on because I've been training for like the last 3 decades. And my beard's longer than yours. Yeah. Matt says, would I ever consider street activism? Actually, I've been wanting to do that for like 12 months, mate. I actually have been considering. Oh, God damn, what the fuck is going on here? Somehow, I guess somebody went into the, what do you call it? The Discord of the Aussie one. And it's 5:18 p.m., man. Come on. No, you're not, mate. You're sitting there behind your internet skirt. If you want to come down to Byron Bay or Clunes or wherever, and we can meet in person, we'll 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 have a conversation face to face. But sitting there in your mother's fucking basement, you're not proving anything. Mansell Bennett says the rig is actually tiny there. That's usually the case. So the rig, shall we set a time and date and say other people can come and film it so we can just meet in person and we'll just, yeah, have a little man to man standoff down on the beach where there are no um, flags, no barriers, no ropes. You want to do that? I'm cool with that. Like, I'll take any one of you motherfuckers on. Nico Choco. Yeah, mate. Everybody loves my beard. I'm just looking for the rig. Oh, the rig. I think the rig is actually suffering small man syndrome and therefore projecting onto my channel. That way, Terry, I can hit show on that. It's all good. Oh, the rig will rip it off my face. The rig. You know where you are? Dude, you're already buried in the sand. I don't fuck around, mate. The rig. Oh, I'm a big truck driver. and I've got a big rig. Dude, I live right near the easternmost point of the Australian mainland for a reason. You want to go down under the sand and have a gentlemanly discussion about it? I wish you well, because you're gonna go down. Now I can read the words. Yeah, I think my mum is she's like about 78 or something. Good luck with that, mate. Oh, fucking A. The rig, the rig, oh, the rig, the rig. Oh, oh, fuck you, mate. Come see me in person, motherfucker. I don't go on other people's places because I always get constantly fucking timed out, censored, so, so hostile. You're the one talking about my mother, you little prick. So you want me to come to Discord so you can discuss there where I just type. That's what you're trying to say. While you come to my live chat. The whole thing has been about fucking wankers talking about how they fucking block me out from being able to just have the right to free speech. This is the only place I can have the right to free speech because anytime I go to any one of your fucking places, you're just gonna fucking block me. Block me. So I'll go to your places so you can block me. Yeah, that really makes me look intelligent, doesn't it? I'm talking right here, right now. What more do I need? What can I talk on your Discord? Is that what you're saying? I can go there and freely speak. If that's what you're saying, bandsaw banned it, and I don't have to sit here and type it. Why would I do that when I have a live stream happening and it's already working? Well, John Stock says that we love Yoa, mate. All right, jeez, damn it. Slap me on the ass and all the rest. I'm tempted. Do need another beer, but which one of you cunts is shouting? Oh, even though it's against my better wishes. All right, you rig, you motherfucker. I'll get a beer. I kind of like you guys because you're all right. Because you seem halfway Australian. I'm going to end this stream then.